Hello, fellow homebrewers. JP here, and I want to introduce to you the brand new Brew-Built X1 Conical Series available at More Beer. More Beer sells the highest standard in homebrewing equipment, and the Brew-Built Conicals are just that. They're made from mirror-polished 304 stainless steel, and they come with loads of features that you and I have been looking for. They have a full 2-inch bottom dump valve, which will eliminate your clogging issues, while the sturdy base includes 4 reinforced legs, just like those big Pro tanks do. More Beer also carries the Brew-Built line of options and add-ons like casters, pressure kits, and even external glycol chillers. So you can find out more about the new Brew-Built X1 Conical Unitanks by going over to morebeer.com for detailed videos on the entire line of Brew-Built Conicals. You can trust Brew-Built with your next fermentation, and you can trust More Beer to find the right conical for you. Brew-Built at morebeer.com.
Today's Sunday session is brought to you thanks to the fine folks at More Beer. Visit them right now at morebeer.com.
If you really want to be one of the best brewers there is,
I stopped dressing all in plastic.
You better be brewing 5 to 6 times a week.
Every beer is made with love, and it begs to be appreciated.
I need something to kill the salmonella I'm kind of worried about in the eggs.
Do you find that that the hops kind of clash with the chicken embryo you put in there?
I might sleep here tonight.
It's a California king. There's plenty of room for both of us, Beavis.
How many of the brewers over there have seen your ass?
That's it. Someone's getting cut tonight.
All I have to say is, hey, McDowell, how you doing?
Now, live from the Brewing Network studios in Northern California, this is the radio program for home brewers, craft brewers, beer lovers, and beer geeks. It's your only source for live beer radio that brings expert brewers together with, well, expert drinkers. This is the radio program with a head on it. This is The Session.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening. Welcome. Here we are once again, The Session. But this is not Justin. This is Jason.
What?
I know, right? I fooled you all.
Wow. Justin Jason session.
Because I don't, well, I think we're interchangeable because neither of us really care about anybody else.
JP is looking good tonight.
Thank you. Wait. What? I don't understand.
I don't get it.
Is that a compliment?
Yes.
Shit.
You look taller.
So, speaking of weird I don't know if it's a compliment, but weird things that I didn't know about myself that I was told by other people.
Okay.
So it was earlier today. We're getting ready for the show, and I walk in with a beer, and a couple of those lackeys from the Hop Grenade and Beverly were in the meeting or whatever, the booth,
the closet.
And I walk in, and you know that when you walk in the room, and you know instantly that everybody was just talking about you.
Oh, really?
Because they just stop and look, and then they look back at one another and then start giggling.
They bring up something awkward. Wow. Cover the
yeah, and I'm like,
cover the awkward silence.
Are you not on, Bev? Sorry.
I don't giggle.
Well,
fine, cackle.
Pretty. You giggle.
Okay, that's fine.
And I'm like, okay, what? Do you tell me what's going on? Apparently, I wear a lot of cologne.
Yeah.
And they were complaining about how terrible I smelled or something like that.
Once it gets mixed in with all your sweat.
I was not complaining.
Sometimes you smell like a used car salesman.
See, why hasn't anybody told me that before? I have to wait till some guy who serves me beer tells me.
We're waiting till you're in a position of power so we can knock you down.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
We picked now to discuss it.
Oh.
We just figured you knew.
Is this an intervention?
Yeah.
I just knew that I'm blowing your sinuses out.
Can't you smell yourself?
No.
Well, when you put the cologne on.
Well, yeah, and then I go, oh, this smells real good. And then 10 minutes later, it's gone. And I go, okay, well, I know enough now because I was a teenager once, and, my dad actually taught me a few things about, putting cologne on. And he goes, son, if you can't smell it, doesn't mean that nobody else can. I don't know. I had no idea. Oh. But, look, I took it with stride, took it off the chin, and I was like, hey, I'm glad someone at least told me instead of just being the butt of the joke forever and ever.
Well, they more just laughed at you.
Well, but when confronted about the laughter, then they told me, and I appreciate that. Yeah, because we're bros.
It's good to have friends like that.
It's good to have friends who, once confronted about making fun of you behind your back, will spill the beans.
Right.
I have never once thought you smelled too cologne-y. Honestly.
Are you on, Mike?
No.
Are you? Yeah, you are.
These are all dead.
No, there you go.
I heard
You're
it.
on. Yeah, you there, buddy?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
How you doing?
Hi.
Good. Yeah, I wear a little cologne, and
you do?
Yeah, and I never noticed yours.
I never noticed yours either. But then again, we don't like embrace.
Well,
we pass like ships in the night, and that's all right.
We do the man hug thing.
We do.
Yeah,
well, yeah. But like when I go in for a man hug,
instead of C's there, I'd be like, all over you.
You'd be and that's the thing. I think you would be inhaling when you hugged.
Right. Maybe you wear the same cologne, so you're
exactly.
When I hug girls, I always inhale. Oh, good.
Maybe we wear the same cologne,
so you don't smell it on each other.
Do you wear Sauvage by Kristen Joie?
No, I'm an Axe guy.
Oh, okay.
Those are made up words, right?
Yeah, French is generally made up.
Here's what I did. You can do the same thing. I have like people test me, like I use chicks, right?
Test me.
Yeah.
Tell me like when you can smell me, and they'll get like 4 or 5 inches away. Then they can smell like fine. That's my zone. That's
a good way to get chicks 4 or 5 inches away from you too.
I need to have I need to have the chick zone detector.
No, I have fun with it, of course.
Oh man,
it's one of those mindless. Yeah.
So does Taryn think you wear too much?
No, well, I don't know. Maybe she's used to. Maybe she wears too much too, and we're just kind of blown out with each other. We don't even understand. We're going to be one of those old couples that walks down the street, and then you can smell that. You can follow the vapor trail.
Get stuck on next to the bus. And the bottle on.
Yeah. I don't ride the bus for that reason. Now I'm afraid to ride the bus because I don't want to be the smelly guy.
Well, but you'll be the nicer smelling guy. And the guy who just shit his pants.
Probably.
Maybe.
You're just going to go throw it away now, knowing you. You made you feel self-conscious.
No, so I used to put some on that I've had for a while, so maybe it wasn't as pungent. But I put 2 little spritzes on and like, okay, that's fine. And then Bev, whenever I'd say hi, she goes, oh, you smell really good. And I go, that's a positive comment. I'm going to keep doing this. But I got new stuff. Maybe it's more potent or a deeper spray. So maybe it's too much. Maybe I shouldn't smell good for you guys.
You are kind of wasting it on us.
We'll give you options. We'll give you a Christmas gift of some new scents.
I'd much rather you smell too cologne than like BO.
You know what? Nate just gave me a great idea. A cologne advent calendar. Once a day, just a 1 ounce little tester. You open another one. Oh, look, it's, sandalwood.
You can be as annoying as everyone else this year holidays with your own special smells.
And then at Christmas, you wear them all at once.
Or just for your Christmas list, put cologne and then see what all your friends think that you smell like or that you want to smell like.
That's a good challenge. That should be the next Brewcaster challenge. Forget this brewing garbage.
What smell reminds me of you?
Pick a smell. Pick a smell for your fellow Brewcaster. Speaking of Brewcaster challenge, I racked my barley wine.
Oh, yeah?
I'm not going to tell you.
Into what? The drain?
Don't even worry about it.
Okay.
Into bottles marked Sierra Nevada Bigfoot.
Oh, good. That sounds great already.
I hope that's all right.
It has a little number on the cap and everything.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm going to tell you, I'm pretty stoked. There's no weirdness going on. I'm not going to tell you more details than that. We'll save it for the show. But
just a couple more weeks of aging, right?
I get it. Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Great.
Cool.
I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
And then I brewed on Sunday.
Whoa.
Had a whole thing. I did a whole weekend.
You're getting into this.
Wow, that's a lot of beer for one weekend.
Yeah. I drank wine. Beardy and I went wine tasting together.
Oh, yeah, that was a break from the beer.
Just him and I.
Yeah, things that guys do.
Are you serious? Taryn didn't go?
No, I'm kidding. Taryn went. Yeah, Taryn and Candy.
Why
and,
would Taryn
our friends
go?
And that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like at the winery in Sonoma or Napa and everything?
Yeah, we went to Ridge. Went up to Sonoma. Hung out at Ridge for a bit. That's my new favorite winery. Nice. Beardy and I have been wine tasting with a couple of friends before, and I don't really. There's not a lot of wineries like locally that I like gravitate to. Like wine is kind of just wine. I'm trying though. I'm learning. But I went up to Ridge in Sebastopol. It was amazing. Their wines were amazing.
And they got some cool...
Nate's not buying it.
I don't believe you.
Nate's broken.
They've got some of the oldest vines they were telling us.
In the country.
In the country. And
planted in the late 1800s, man.
The wine is great.
You need to bring Shay with you when you go do stuff like that.
Well, I don't know. God, yeah. I mean, that would be awesome, but I'm afraid we'd never get out of there.
That's also possible.
He'll ask a lot of questions. Anyway, so this is the show, man. This is the session I'm covering for Jay. He is out touring the Pacific Northwest with the Frenchies out in the bunker. Actually, they're going to be, they might be stopping by, saying hi, so that'll be cool.
What? Wait. Stopping by?
Like we are not currently in the Pacific Northwest.
Right.
I didn't say we were.
Come on.
Right, but you said Justin was.
They were touring.
Oh, yeah. They're touring the Pacific. Whatever, Bev.
They were Russian River this afternoon.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah,
I bet they're still there.
I'm going to turn
that is north of here.
That is north
and
of
it's
here.
West. So you didn't lie.
We're all right. We do have a pretty cool show for you tonight. Of course, Nate Smith is in the studio, and he's going to learn about us some hop sensory evaluation tips and tricks. We have 7 different varieties from Nico Brew.
You got all those hops sitting around in your freezer you may have had for a while, or new 2015 hops you just got your hands on.
Yeah.
How to adapt and evaluate what you have, what you may have not used in a while, what you may be getting through this new crop year. How's that different than what you had in the past? How can you adapt your recipe or your brewing process to respond to that? So.
I'm pretty excited about it because I was, like I said, I was brewing. I found some old hops in my refrigerator, and they were sealed and everything, but I think they were like 2 years old, and I'm like, there's no way to know if these are any good, because if I cut them open and then they smell all right, I don't really know what I'm looking for in the smell, first of all, because I didn't smell them before I put them in, so I don't have anything to compare them to. Right. And then I've ruined them because I'm not going to, brew for another 6 months or whatever.
Well, yeah, and then you got that open package or whatnot. You may or may not necessarily want to commit to that, but oftentimes you'll find that you can use at least one place in the process for the hops if they've been stored correctly and they seem like they're in decent shape. So we'll get into the ways that you can make good use of those and not necessarily have to toss them. So.
I'm stoked. I'm really excited about it. And then after Nate's segment, we're going to talk to the Homebrew Chef, Sean Paxton. It's been a while since we talked to Paxty. He's going to talk about Thanksgiving, or as I like to call it, try and eat all of the slices of pie day. Because Thanksgiving is pie for me. It's not turkey. Turkey you get year-round, but pie...
Dessert only, huh?
It's dessert only. You got to go pie or go home.
No cranberry sauce?
No, I can't do cranberry sauce.
No gravy, no turkey?
I don't give it. Well, I mean, I'll eat it because it's there. I'm not going to go out to In and Out.
It's the appetizer for pie.
It really is. It's the amuse-bouche for pie. Mm-hmm. Yeah. With all these French words.
I think you're just making things up to confuse me.
Paxy's going to join us. He's going to tell us how to include some tasty beers into our food this holiday season because, he likes to cook with his beer. And he's going to give us an entire Thanksgiving Day menu off his new site. He's been hard at work revamping homebrewchef.com, and he built an entire menu complete with recipes and how-tos and photos and everything for us, and it's pumpkin cinnamon. Was it pumpkin Spätzle brewed or made with double barrel ale from Firestone Walker?
Sweet. Yeah, that looked pretty good.
Stuff like that. Like that's Bev's broken too.
Like he's not just drinking while he's
just
cooking.
Trying to like.
Sounds great.
Embrace that.
Yeah.
Take your time.
So we're going to give the URL out for that when we talk to Paxton, but that'll be great too. And then, of course, we have a little bit of beer news to do. It's going to be a good time.
I don't think anything happened in the beer world since we were last on.
No, it shouldn't. It shouldn't have happened at all.
Nothing.
We'll find out later.
This is like back to 2006 now. It's quiet and calm.
It's quiet. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
Get in the market while you can now.
Yep.
I predict people will be bought out. Head to our website. You can donate there. You can use our Amazon link. Christmas shopping should be happening now. If not, it's going to be happening on Friday. Bet your balls with Black Friday going down. But use our Amazon link. We sneak in a little behind you, and we get a little bit of your money from Amazon. It helps us out, and you don't notice a thing. And Amazon, I don't know, Amazon buys us wine and some chocolates afterwards, and it's pretty nice. It's really a lovely afternoon. So support us. Go to Amazon link. We also have our Twitter game, which, let's see, let me use my log here. Our Twitter game today is sponsored by the Labruski Cruise. We're all going in March. I need to get my frickin' passport.
Start on it.
Still.
Oh, yeah.
Dude,
you're getting it down to the wire right now.
No, you don't have to. You can. It won't be a rush.
Tasty doesn't want me to go. He's like, dude, wait till fucking February. Who cares?
Do it now. But you got time.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have to pay for expedited shipping.
No, you don't. Do you?
That's all right.
If you wait past now.
Make it a business
expense.
I thought it was 2 months.
Past right now.
Business expense.
Yeah.
Assuming my business makes money. Anyway, come to the Labruski Cruise. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be cruising to the Caribbean, or as my friend Billy Ocean would say, the Caribbean.
Caribbean Queen.
Caribbean.
With like a ton of breweries, too.
That's going to be amazing. Yeah, we're going to do some games. We're going to do some live. I don't know if we're going to do live broadcast, but we're going to do.
Games would be cool.
We're going to do some things.
I'm going to do some lounging.
I'm going to do some tanning.
No, I don't tan.
Maybe some vomiting.
There's a definite possibility.
Some sunburning.
There will definitely be some sunburning also.
I can't wait. It's going to be fun. I've never been on a Caribbean cruise, and I think it's going to be a good time. Anyway, our Twitter game.
Wait a minute, how do you find out? What's the Labruski Cruise?
I don't know. I was hoping that you wouldn't bring that up, Tasty, because I don't have that ready.
Yeah.
Well, Google that.
What is it, Stump JP?
What are the dates? The March the
I think like the 2nd or something like that.
Early March.
Sometime in March.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm doing a real good job.
I think it's the 3rd through the 7th.
Sorry, the Brisky Cruise people. But hey, it's a good cruise.
Somewhere around then.
Well, look.
Hey. On our webpage, there's a link for it.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Or just Google the Brewski Cruise. It's going to be a good time.
It's before the new Winter Brews Fest.
It's going to be before the new Winter Brews Fest, which I also don't know when it is.
Right.
Because usually during the show, I don't pay attention. And Jay said something about the dates at one point, but it's in April.
It's
April 2nd.
Yep. April 2nd.
April 2nd.
That's Winter Brews Fest?
It's spring
it's
Brews Fest.
Sprinter Brews
That's
Fest.
right.
Oh.
Sprinter Brews.
It's no April Fools.
I leave for
April
1
2nd.
week, and Winter Brews goes to April.
Well, the whole season shifted.
Well, there was
It's
a
El
lot.
Nino, right?
It's El Nino.
There's a lot going on with beer week.
Yeah, SF Beer Week got
Right.
shifted
Super
around.
Bowl.
The Super Bowl
Got
kind of
away.
screwed us over.
Yeah.
And, you know,
You got to adapt, you know.
all that kind of stuff. So your Twitter game today is I was thinking about the Frenchies riding in the RV with Justin.
And those guys don't bathe that much.
They don't
That's
bathe that
why
much.
you're
Justin
talking in
doesn't
French.
bathe that much.
Ooh, yeah.
The Frenchies probably don't. I don't know. We'll see. I've only met a couple
Okay.
You
times.
need to give them your cologne since you're not going to be wearing it anymore.
And it's Duar.
Yeah, there you go.
So I want you guys to describe to me the smell of the RV after a week of nothing but charcuterie and beer in the Pacific Northwest, of which we are not a part of, apparently, according to Bev.
We are not a part of the Pacific Northwest.
So get on Twitter. Tell me. Let me know. What
Tell
do
us
think?
what you think.
Yeah, tell us what you think.
Make up something good.
You guys ready for some feedback?
Feedback.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where's the banjo music?
Sorry, I couldn't press the button fast enough to get the words.
Who's sponsoring feedback?
Feedback today is brought to you by Beer Law Center. You can go to beerlawcenter.com. Our friend John protects our trademarks. He protects my personal trademark. He protects a lot of people that I know's trademarks. And he can protect yours too. beerlawcenter.com. John's a handsome guy. He wears a bow tie. This one is from Tim. He says, I'd like to know a little bit more about buying beer online. I've heard there are some services that allow you to purchase beer, but I'm not sure if you can ship it from state to state or if there are any restrictions like that. Do you or anyone else on the show have any experience in doing this? I can definitely see issues with shipping cost, I guess, is the $2 signs. The beer not being refrigerated, breaking bottles, etc. Just wondering if you or any other brewcasters or the BN Army, for that matter, could talk about this. Tim, he's a BN Army corporal. Tasty, have you ever shipped beer or ordered beer online?
Just one time. I was maybe I was like brewing a beer for a competition, and I didn't win the classic example, and I ordered it from someplace. But
how was that experience for you?
It was fine.
Yeah?
Just a really expensive beer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like ends up being like twice. Like it's if it's like a bottle that would sell for like $3, I'm paid like $9 to have it in my hand.
You have to buy it 3 times over before you.
I mean, So in terms of like personally, if I was, of course, I'm not a beer collector, or I don't give a shit if I've had the latest beer or not.
Yeah, you're not like a white.
I just
whale
drink what I
beer?
like, right? And it's more about just going out to me. But what was I talking about? What was the question?
How do you think I look in this shirt?
Yes.
Yeah.
You look really. You look like a Smurf.
Just about if you have any experience with shipping beer, getting beer shipped to you, buying it online.
To answer his question, I was thinking, whoever the place that's selling it knows the laws. I mean, if you can order it and have it delivered to your address, it's legal.
Yeah, it's not like the Wild West of the internet where no one really knew anything.
Those guys be out of business
ago.
like that.
Yeah.
If they were shipping across state lines, and it can happen.
And I do think that the rules vary state by state. The beer industry is not as organized as the wine industry in terms of actually getting things like that set up to where it's clear legally what the rules are. Yeah. And so it kind of depends on each brewery's interpretation of what their local restrictions are.
Okay.
I know there are some breweries, like the Rare Barrel sends their beer out, but I know that they can't send it out totally nationwide. They're restricted.
There's certain states that don't.
Right, exactly. The rules. That's what I said.
But if you have a friend who can buy it locally and then send it to you, the only way they can't legally send it to you is through the USPS.
Hasn't that changed? I thought they're
thinking about it.
They're thinking they talked about it, but I don't think anything happened.
Oh, that's good. Hey, it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah. Change starts with talking.
That's right.
It's an expensive way to go about it.
It's super expensive.
It can be fun if you want to get that super special beer that's not available in your region, but craft beer is growing by leaps and bounds. Almost every region has at least some decent breweries doing almost every style you can possibly think of. Or maybe we're just spoiled being in this area. I'd look locally first to try and find something that you're looking for before trying to dump too much money into buying beer online. But it generally works out okay.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
This one is from Scott. He says, after listening to Chris Graham on the session discussing the More Beer Pittsburgh with an H location, I thought that I'd write in and mention how awesome it is for us on the East Coast. On Friday afternoon, I placed an order of about 60 pounds of grain, some yeast, and a pound of hops. The very next morning, it was sitting on my doorstep with free shipping to boot. Maybe it's because I live in Pittsburgh with an H, but this shit is faster than Amazon Prime. I'd never be really comfortable with yeast and hops being shipped from California to PA, especially in the summer, but with the warehouse right down the street, I have no worries at all. The only way it could get better is if they allowed my impatient ass to pick it up from the warehouse. Oh, one other great thing about More Beer Pittsburgh with an H is they have opened their doors to the local homebrew clubs, allowing them to have some meetings there. Pretty damn sweet. Keep up the great work. Thanks, Scott.
Nice one.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
Good dudes.
This one is from Mikey, which I don't know if he's just 8 or... I don't know. Anyway.
He likes it.
Yeah. Hey, guys, and Bevo. After 2 great years of leeching your brewing knowledge and entertainment for free, I've always felt kind of guilty for not donating. As a father of 3 with a mortgage who quit his job to go back to school, I thought it may be a while before you see any coin from me. Well, something happened this weekend that pushed me over the edge, and I had to show some financial appreciation. It was not the great content that you guys provide that has forced me to donate, but the fact that I finally got around to YouTubing this Steel Panther band I kept hearing about.
Changed his life.
Holy shit, I pissed myself laughing all Saturday night, and I realized I would never have heard of them if it were not for you guys. So thank you, and Steel Panther alone is worth my monthly corporeal subscription. So we're not worth it.
No, why would we be?
The crap he can get for free is.
Well, maybe we should.
Well, not even the beer information. It's
right.
the musical
We're
taste
working
that
the
we
wrong
have.
angle here. We should be recommended.
It's a backhanded compliment. Take it while you can get it.
Yeah, let's start doing
We're
music
like
and movie
Pinterest.
reviews. Yeah. This one's from Jacob. He says, hello, Justin and crew. Well, Justin's not here right now. Can I
We'll
take a
pass
message?
it along.
You can ignore this one then.
Leave your message at the beep. I just want to let you know that besides emptying out my savings for you slackers, I've also signed up as a ranger in the BN Army because without the last few years of information, my brewing would never have gotten to this point. Thank you for all you do, and tell Scott I hoped he enjoyed my beer.
Well, I don't know what being a ranger means, but thank you.
Yeah, I don't know what that is
What's
either.
a ranger? Well, I never met a ranger.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's way up there.
Like a forest ranger?
That's way up there.
triple
That's for
digits.
sure.
No, I mean, it's
Yeah.
like, I don't know, there's armor, private sergeants. Ranger, jeez.
This one is from Sit on My Fist.
Huh.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, right.
And then what?
So you can only imagine how this
Depends on your
email is going to
situation.
sound.
Can only imagine.
We're ready.
He says, was my niggity networks.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Was WHAZZA.
That's how it sounded in person at the time.
In his head, he's like, this is going to be amazing. Waza. I'm working my way through the archives, and I'm roughly 10 months behind the current show, so you can suck my balls with a Z if this has been addressed already. A couple of episodes ago, late 2014, someone wrote in saying that the Amazon link wasn't showing up on the front page. Scott and Jay had some smart-ass remark about it being there and the listener being stupid for not finding it, but I wanted to let you all know that for people who use an ad block extension to hide ads on the browser, it may very well be hiding the BN Amazon link on the home page for them. Curiously, I had the same thing happen to me, so I put on my thinking cap, and when I disabled my ad block extension on the BN site, the link showed up. Tell Scott he's welcome for doing his, quote, job for him. P.S. Suck it, Beardy.
Oh.
Wow, this
So,
guy's a genius.
We did cover that last show.
Last show, actually.
But I felt it was
But
appropriate.
Scott doesn't take care of that, does he?
Well,
No.
and what can we do about people ad blocking through their browser?
God only
Not
knows.
much.
Yeah.
God
Hey,
only
when
knows.
this guy hears
That's
this,
on them.
when this guy hears this in 10 months,
Yeah.
thanks for wasting our time.
He's going to be amazed.
We,
Go ahead, mate.
we appreciate that.
We do appreciate
We really do.
any sort
Yeah.
of feedback. You can tell us, how great Daniela was, and you hope we never replace her.
Yeah, that's right.
You might not know.
That's what's coming next in your inbox, I have a feeling.
This is from Joshua. He says, hey, guys, and Bevo. Got to say I love the show. I started brewing about 3 years ago, and one of the first things I did was to seek out a good podcast about homebrewing. Then I found yours. No, I'm kidding. He says, I want to seek out a good podcast about homebrewing. I found your show after listening to the Beersmith podcast with Brad Smith. Both are good shows, but yours is far more entertaining. I appreciate that.
Oh.
I think Brad and us do very different things, but we both try to deliver quality information, and I think we both do a good job. Over the last 3 years, one of the best segments you guys have done is the Brewcaster Challenge. So much so that I was thinking about going back and listening to just those segments again. Then I thought back to a suggestion that another listener had made. He asked if you guys could play an archived show during your off weeks. I was wondering if you guys could compile the Brewcaster Challenge segments and play that during an off week. Either way, I love what you guys are doing. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Joshua Baker. No.
Oh, what?
That's a lot of work.
Oh, was that your answer?
Yeah, the answer is probably going to be.
We could have all been drinking with Justin at Russian River today if that would have happened, and then we wouldn't have to be sitting in here, right? You know? No. We'll do even better.
Let's wave some money in front of Scott.
That's true.
Real money or Monopoly money?
Well,
no, real money. Like it's a show, right? Because it would be an entertaining.
It would. People would probably dig it. This guy's probably not the only guy.
He's not. He's at least the second. Excuse me, the second one.
I think I'm going to pay him to do a best of tasty.
Right?
Show.
That'd be a lot of dead air.
Saying stupid shit.
Yeah, it would be a lot of dead air.
Short show. Short, please.
Yeah. No, just the best of the sound bites out of context.
Oh,
just
man.
to make people wonder what was going on.
It'd be even better if you could edit them together to tell a story.
Yeah.
That would be pretty good.
Yeah.
I think you should get on that, Tasty. I think it'd be...
I'll waste the money in front of him.
I think you should.
You got to have a fan who would be willing to do the editing for you, Tasty.
I'll email him under an alias and tell him I'm going to send him beer. Get him all excited.
For the show.
Yeah. For the show.
Sour beer. Make sure it's sour.
Then we'll do it like a test, right? I'll send him like 12 bottles. We'll see how many make it here to the show.
Just a test. This is from Kit Kat Jim in the forum. He says, Justin, I was listening to your intro into the Moylan's show. I want you to know that I empathize with you. I, too, have been considering taking a year off. Maybe find someone to send me a text summarizing what the show was about so I don't have to bother with actually listening to you guys myself. But
he wants the Cliff Notes for every show.
But like you were saying, once I started listening, it's okay. It's just the sitting around all day thinking about having to listen to the show that gets to me. So I say go for it. Take a year off. Hit the open road. I'll listen to Drew and Denny's new show for a while. Maybe become a sailor in the experimental brewing navy. Which I don't know if that's like a thing that Drew and...
Yeah, they're doing a show.
Well, they're doing a show, but the experimental brewing navy...
Oh, I don't know. Well, hey, they got maybe if they're going to have the Army, they got the Navy.
I kind of want to look into that.
See what they're doing there?
Justin there.
It's pretty funny.
Riding coattails.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I mean, they're just brewers. They're not like, they don't have a creative department. They
True.
Army, Navy, I get it. Sure.
Yeah. He says, and to those of you who think it's a bad idea for Justin to leave, just remember that if you love something, you should set it free. If it returns, you can always change the locks.
It's just like golf lessons. He'll be back.
He'll be back.
Right.
This next one says, hi, brewing people. I've been listening for about 4 years now and finally entered a competition to see what would happen. I can tell you what's going to happen. You're going to get paper. And anyway, he says, I got a first place for a Scottish 60 shilling, which was Nate Smith's Loose Change.
Yeah.
Nice one. Inspired.
And third place for a mild, which was JP's Can You Brew It Solidarity clone from Eagle Rock. There we go. That's pretty good.
Very nice.
Nate and I are just changing minds. It's all right.
It's the same recipe, really. You just didn't look close enough.
So is he going to send you guys the medals?
Yes, he's going to cut them in half. He says, I just wanted to say thank you since I couldn't have made this without the information that has been poured into my brain by the BN. Well, beyond winning something, which is an odd experience for me, it's great to have beer that I think is good and everyone I give it to seems to like it as well. Don't worry, JP. I know my homebrew still sucks. This is from Nate Brews in the forum.
Nate Brews. Session beers, too, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats,
Can't have
dude.
enough, man. This is from Jeremy. He says, a coworker of mine recommended your show to me a year and a half ago, and I have to admit my life has not been the same since. Not only do I listen to each new episode the day after the podcast is released, but I'm working my way through all the old episodes. I do forestry and have headphones plugged into my iPod all day. I like to imagine what it would look like for someone to see me out in the woods, axe in one hand, GPS in the other, laughing maniacally to all of your antics. Your Being Award show from last winter had me in stitches for hours. Well, maybe it's a slip of the axe that had it's enjoyable to see how the show has changed from your roots and to see how the cast of characters changes. Whatever happened to Daniela? She got knocked up and
weren't you just
Germany
talking
now.
about this?
That's weird.
Yeah, that's
weird. She just came up.
Yeah. I'm currently listening to the shows from the fall of 2007. There are often references to Doc's marriage and the likelihood of it falling victim to the BN.
Oh, no.
He says, sorry, Doc, at least there's Tinder these days. Just the other day, I listened to the 10/21/07 episode, which was young Miss Beverly's first official appearance.
Oh, Jesus.
She was young back then.
I was young back then.
My, oh, my, how she has changed since then.
What was the date?
10/21/07.
I just turned 24.
The good old days.
Wow.
Youth. Oh, I miss you.
You're going like church like 3 nights a week there, weren't you, or something?
I still do.
Okay, I'm sorry. Well, now you're more of a hypocrite than that, I guess.
I'm just going to let that slide by.
She said he goes on to say, in that episode, she apparently worked the chat room topless.
Oh,
It says, please say there's photographic evidence and admits to opening a double-ended dildo. Did we have a conversation, like apparently where we're making jokes about you worked the chat room topless and you had a double-ended dildo?
So I definitely, in my life, in the life known as the Brewing Network, have received
Hi, Doc.
At least one double-ended dildo as a gift.
As a gift?
As a gift from Justin, always.
From you to yourself?
Pardon?
From you to yourself?
No,
Oh,
from
that's too bad.
somebody else to me, and it was never used. Let me just be clear.
Except to beat Sam with.
And I have never, ever done this show without clothes on.
That's true.
In the history of my life.
That's true.
Which life?
He says about the
This life.
about the dildo. He says, lucky for Sam, unless he's on the receiving end of that one.
No, I actually left it at the studio, and I think Biscuit used it as a chew toy.
I think she did, actually.
Precisely what happened.
Anyway, I want to thank you for all the great homebrewing advice and have a quick question for Doc, Jamil, JP, Palmer, Warren, Tasty, or any other reputable homebrewer. I don't know why I'm in there. I just brewed up Jamil's recipe for Kolsch this weekend, and I've never done a lager before. Well, you still haven't.
Right.
It's currently bubbling away at 60 degrees. I'm moving this weekend, and my plan is to transfer it to a CO2 purged carboy, plug it with a bung, and drive it to the new place. Once I'm there, I'll swap the plug for an airlock and hide it in the garage for a couple of months. I have a firm wrap, but no cold side temperature control. Is this a bad idea?
Wait.
Any advice would be much appreciated. Thanks again. Creep up the joint.
What is it in right now?
Another carboy.
Another carboy? Why is he going to transfer it then?
Maybe so that way it doesn't stir up all the yeast that's settled out already.
So.
Bunging
just an observation. When you do stir up yeast, it's already flocked.
Yeah.
It flocks out really quick.
Exactly.
Like hours.
I wouldn't worry about it. Don't transfer it. Just
I wouldn't transfer it,
carefully transport it, and you should be okay.
Also, shaking it up, if you do bung it, it's going to pressurize a bit. If it doesn't push the bung out in transport,
you could have a very deadly situation.
You might have a frothy situation when you take the bung out.
Ooh.
That might be the sound.
Yeah, stir the whole thing up ahead of time. If there's any CO2 in it, it'll release that. And,
yeah. I don't really see
one of your better ferments after you roust the yeast.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's your other choice? Throw it out? Nah.
Well, so he's just
Right.
transferring.
Exactly.
He's
He wants to
racking it
transfer
in
it.
order to transfer it to a different location. That was the okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like he isn't moving that far away. It doesn't sound like so. It should be easy.
Why not just put it into a keg?
We don't know.
If you're gonna just rack it into a keg.
He may not have
unless he's bottle conditioning.
I thought that's what he said.
Oh, he said a carboy.
Yeah, he said just transfer to a carboy.
Which he wanted to bung.
Yeah.
Because he didn't want it to spill out.
How long has it been fermenting?
We don't know.
I mean, it's probably almost done.
He said it's been 60 degrees for something a week.
Put it in a keg and then let it sit cold.
I'm sorry. We do know. He just brewed it this weekend. So that was, I checked. Well, I checked this on Friday, so it may have been last weekend. So I still don't know.
So if he's listening and he hasn't done it yet, it's been about 8 days or something. Right?
Yeah.
It's probably fine.
Leave it in there. Dude.
I wouldn't even rack it.
Move it.
The beer's done.
Yeah.
But also, let's make the differentiation. A Kolsch is not a lager.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said
it's a
lager.
hybrid.
Well, he said, I brewed a Kolsch. I've never done a lager before.
Oh, I see.
He's
And I
taking
said, he still
baby
hasn't.
steps towards the lager.
Yeah, but he should know. And also, I wouldn't necessarily sit on a Kolsch for a couple of months.
No.
Drink that
it's
shit.
very light.
Yeah.
No, I did, and it was awful. We dumped it. Remember the one we brewed together?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably started out as awful.
Well, that's because you actually
Probably.
sat on it for a couple months.
Shut up, Warren. Turn his microphone off.
Horton hears an airlock bubble.
No, I stored it for way too long, and then
did.
tried to drink it like 5 months later. It was
That was a
not
good question.
That was a good question. But yes, Kolsch's are not lagers.
And let it stay warm. Don't put it back to 60.
No, you
Just let it go.
lager them like a lager.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then last but not least, we have the spam of the week. This is from Sue Guzman.
Okay.
How have you been?
Great.
Hi.
What is your name? Where are you
Beverly.
from?
I think I know Sue.
I am Sue
Talks
Guzman.
just like that.
I live in Seoul. When was the last time you were on the site? I want to write to you today in chat, but you have already left it. I really like your profile. I think that we have many common interests. I'm good at ping pong, cooking fish, and yoga. I'll be very glad of your answer.
I'm digging this one.
How have you been? What's your name?
She asked twice?
I'm just that was
recapping.
That was the funny part for me.
She's double checking to make sure she remembers it correctly.
How you been? Pretty good. What's your name? Shit. I'm good at ping pong. I live in Seoul. Okay.
I like fish.
Yes.
I cook the fish. Hi Doc, how you doing, buddy?
We're good.
I have a present for you.
Excellent.
You ready for it?
Yeah, okay. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Meet you all the way. You love Toto.
Yeah, just let it soak in.
Yeah.
Doc is not a happy man right now.
Well, I went to see the movie the night before last night, and guess what they had in the middle of that?
Toto?
Yeah.
A big Toto breakdown?
Almost ruined the movie.
No, it wasn't Toto. No, I was watching another show with my son, and it came on, and I had to leave the room. Everybody's been giving me shit about that. They're just sending me stuff with Toto in it, and like you know.
They found your button. They just want to push it now.
Oh, I know.
Well,
let's get that going.
Well, and
they're sending me vines.
Yeah. Well, like Nate said, I pretty much feel like Doc can take anything. I go, yeah, except Toto, which is odd. The thing to key in on for you is Toto.
It's a weird line to draw.
It's a complex history here.
It just grates me the wrong way.
Back in the 80s, in that one time, in that one place, Doc just
Oh, man. Doc.
So that's your Nickelback. Huh?
Oh, they were bad. They were bad, and then they just got worse.
Well, they're going to meet you all the way, though.
Yeah.
That's
then
pretty
they got
good.
The album of the year for some fucked up reason.
Sounds like a shitty year.
Oh,
for
Doc.
me. Right.
Yeah.
How do you not like this? I don't understand.
It's so jubilant.
Right, yeah.
It's very jubilant.
Who scowls to this music?
Yeah.
Let that take us to the break.
I wish I could, but I don't know how to do that. I'm not as proficient. Yeah, it was a good idea, though, Tasty. The other guy definitely could. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about hops, evaluating them, learning about them, smelling them, maybe not tasting them, but definitely snorting them. It's the Brewing Network. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Brewcasters. On the Brewing Network.
Since the first time the Brewing Network microphones turned on, More Beer was behind it. More Beer sponsors the programming on the BN because, like you, they love brewing. And like the Brewing Network, they love sharing their knowledge. Morebeer.com isn't just a website to place your next equipment or ingredient order. Morebeer.com also gives you access to free beer information that will make you a better brewer. Go to morebeer.com and click into the Learning Center. You'll find podcasts, technical facts, video tutorials, and more, including access to The Buzz, More Beer's social network of more than 5,000 members. And some of them might even be crazier about beer than you are. Get over to morebeer.com today and take advantage of The Buzz, the forum, the Learning Center, and make sure you're signed up to receive the newest More Beer catalog. More Beer, bringing you absolutely everything for beer making. Ken Grossman of Sierra Nevada Brewing Company says making great beer is hard. Making the same great beer every day is harder. Brewers Publications announces its latest release for breweries of any type and size. Quality Management, an essential guide for brewers by Mary Pelletieri. Proper quality management for small, regional, and national breweries is critical. Whether you are an established business or brand new, learn the best ways to create and manage a quality system in your brewery. This book will guide you in developing a comprehensive program that will grow with your brewery, help ensure quality processes in the brewery, and continue providing great beer for your fans. Quality management for breweries is critical for continued success. This guidebook teaches you to integrate quality management in every level of the operation. It will guide you in developing a comprehensive program to ensure quality processes in your brewery. Quality Management, an essential guide for brewers, now available original from Brewers Publications. Learn more at brewerspublications.com.
The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
Do you like beer? They make beer.
Watch out!
Do you like friends and fun? They make friends and fun.
Watch out!
Do you still like to have a good time? The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
The 21st Amendment in San Francisco, located at 563 2nd Street, 2 blocks from the building where baseball is seen and played. Try their beers in the pub or try them in the can, featuring
Monk's Blood.
Made with real monk.
Watch out!
So why not have the best time of your life? Go to the 21A and Sean O'Sullivan will personally greet you with a can of
Monk's Blood. The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
This advertisement is not in any way affiliated nor associated with the 21st Amendment Bar and Pub, nor its subsidiaries or affiliates. This telecast is not copywritten by the 21st Amendment for the private use of the Brewing Network. Any use of this telecast without Jamil Zainashev's consent is prohibited. Suck it, JP.
Your support of the Brewing Network means everything to us. We couldn't produce shows without you. And we love giving you something extra for that support, like Brew Your Own magazine. You already know it's a great brewing magazine full of recipes, equipment how-tos, discussions of beer styles, and brewing techniques. Whether you're new to brewing and just starting out or you're an old pro, you'll always learn something from the articles in Brew Your Own. Plus, they're amazing special issues like plans for building a Brutus 10 system, 250 classic clone recipes, and the Homebrewer's Answer Book. Brew Your Own magazine and BYO.com are awesome resources for any brewer, whether for yourself or as a gift. When you subscribe or resubscribe from the Brewing Network homepage, you directly support programs like this. Get a great magazine and support the Brewing Network. Subscribe to Brew Your Own right from thebrewingnetwork.com.
Hey, Wooly, I'm beat. Can we find a nice tree to just hang out in for a while?
You're beat. I've been swinging through this forest for 50 years, ever since we first escaped from the circus. I know, but there's got to be more to life than exploring this creek and trying to populate the valley by copulating with loose, hairy girls.
Marquis, stop. Look!
What is that?
It looks like a man-made treehouse
with fresh food
and craft beer.
Welcome to the Creek Monkey Tap House, boys. Grab a seat. Creek Monkeys drink free.
Awesome!
The Creek Monkey Tap House in Martinez, California takes their mission of fresh food and beer seriously. They only serve locally raised beef and chicken, as well as local sustainable produce. It's better for you and the planet, and it just tastes better. The beer and wine at Creek Monkey Tap House are chosen with the same care for the highest quality and rotate frequently to make each visit an adventure. Swing on into the Creek Monkey Tap House and enjoy a new legend of amazing food, beer, and wine. The Creek Monkey Tap House, online at creekmonkey.com.
Brewcasters are back.
It ain't 401 beer.
Whatever.
All right, everyone, thanks for hanging out. Before we get to Nate, I want to tell you about our friends over at Creek Monkey. You know, those guys, they're trying to put together a brewery. Actually, they have a brewery, but they're raising a little money on Indiegogo for their project Rocksteady Brewing. So do me a favor, head over to Indiegogo.com or go to their website, which is rocksteadybrewing.com, and check out some of the cool things they have for you to be a part of their new space, man. For, like $100. You donate $100, you get a hat and a growler with our logo on it. $125, work shirts and beer. You get a nice, one of those real nice, tight Dickies Rocksteady work shirts. A guitar pick, which is pretty cool. These guys are all about music and beer, man, and that's a pretty cool combination. I think we can all get behind. But the cool thing that I liked here, Nate, and I think you might dig on this, for $200, it's called the Rancid Rocksteady Bus. So you get.
Oh, what?
So you're in the Founders Club. January 2nd, Rancid, I guess, is getting back together and blowing the dust off of, their new hip or whatever. And then they're going to go on a beer bus, and they're going to take you guys to see Rancid at the Warfield in San Francisco, stop at Fieldwork Brewing, and Drake's Dealership, which is their new little spot. I haven't been there yet.
Go. It's good.
Go, yeah?
Yeah, it's real good.
Beer and food will be provided on the bus. That'd be kind of cool. It's kind of a nice day out,
Sounds like a good day.
Yeah, with a
was
nice...
that, $250? Okay.
200.
200? Oh.
Yeah.
No, 200.
It's a deal. I think it's pretty cool, man.
I feel like Rancid is not a great band name to go see when you're opening a brewery.
Stop it. I turned his mic off because no one talks shit about Rancid.
Just try to be more positive.
Don't even fucking do that. No, you're off, Warren.
Oh,
you can't take it literally. Of course.
Right.
Speaking of being off, Taryn texted me, and I'm supposed to let you know that it's pronounced Dior, not Duar. I was sitting back here like, what is he talking about? Is he talking about Dior?
I said Christian Dior.
Dior.
How does she know? Is she French?
No, she's a girl. We know these things.
Yeah, she's an English major, not a French major.
Trust me, I've seen the way she writes. She's more of a minor. That's for sure.
Good for you.
Yeah. Anyway, check them out, man. RocksteadyBrewing.com. They're good people. Matt's a good guy, making some good beers. So, support the project.
Thanks, Taryn.
Yeah, thanks, Taryn.
Yeah.
We guy's trying to do his fucking best. I mean, his best here. And,
you should send apologies.
Come in and rip them.
Tell her I'm going to send some of her money to the Rocksteady guys because she interrupted their bit.
Oh, yeah, take that.
That's right.
Taryn.
I'm yelling at you like,
Taryn,
Fine.
She needs to use, we have feedback for that.
Feedback goes to feedback at thebrewingnetwork.com. Anything else? Justin at thebrewingnetwork. Anyway, all right, Nate. What are we doing, man? The studio smells amazing. It smells like a bunch of fresh
like
hops.
We're trimming
man.
weed.
No, right?
It really does.
I was riding Bart over here with a bunch of whole hops from a couple of years ago that we can get in here a little bit later, and I think there were a couple of dudes looking at me like, "You got like a pound of weed there or something, dude?"
Yeah, this guy's really rolled to a party, man.
I was going to get jumped on the way out of the station for this payload of whole hops. No, but
empty your backpack out and show him.
Exactly, yeah, I had to show him what was up. But no, hops.
What was up? What's up? This is what's up.
I think more than ever before, homebrewers are getting a more in-depth knowledge about what hops are. I mean, you talk to old school guys who've been running homebrew shops, who've been homebrewing since the 70s or 80s, and they'll tell you old stories about hops that have been sitting on the shelf in this like
brown
or pink paper that have been sitting there forever, and it's just like hops. And maybe you got alpha acid, but it never told you what variety or what year they were. All this information that
just throw it
we're
in
used
there.
to getting now. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's all the same. I'm not that old. I just turned 38, but I remember going into some homebrew shops in the late 90s, and they were brown.
Mm-hmm.
And
I thought they were always brown or yellow.
Yeah.
Right.
Not refrigerated.
No, they were just, they've been a bin there.
Pellet hops were rare, if ever seen at all.
Yeah.
It was all whole hops or plugs way back then. That's probably about all you got. So fast forward to today when I think the savvy homebrewer, especially those that want to make really hop-forward beers, are looking for crop years or maybe even trying to figure out if the hops came from a particular farm or are they really high alpha for the variety that they are? Are they really low alpha? All these things, right? People are really interested in maintaining and producing the best quality homebrew they can. A big component to that. One of the best things you can do
in adding control the ingredients. No doubt.
Yeah, exactly. And hops are, by their nature, a very variable product. It's an agricultural product that is not going to be the same from year to year.
Right.
And the big craft brewers even, but certainly the macro brewers spend tons of money and time trying to figure out how they can make their beers the exact same every year.
Or be consistent.
Yeah, to be as consistent as possible. I think there's growing interest in homebrewers kind of approaching it in the same way, or at least you want to get a certain type of flavor, aroma, or sensory impact from the hops.
Yeah.
They take a bigger role in homebrewing and craft beer, I think, than ever before.
Is that why you see some recipes from craft breweries changing, at least hop-wise, from year to year? Because maybe a new crop isn't the same or too pungent or not pungent enough, and so they kind of mess with the hops to kind of drive it back to a middle ground?
I think that tends to be the case. So you talk to a lot of commercial brewers.
Have a good memory of their beers. So as they see them shift or new hops come in and they make the first batch or they do a test batch or something like that, they're well aware that the hops are agriculture product and they're going to vary. So what a lot of them are doing, I know Stone does this, they'll use like a variety of hops. They'll use like maybe 4 hops in a beer where normally you would typically just want to use maybe 2 or 3.
Right.
So they got this blend, if you will. So if they can't get one or the new crop of one of them is different, they can change the blend a little bit.
A brewery like Stone, when they're making a beer like Stone IPA or Arrogant Bastard or even IPA is probably even best example, they want a beer that's true to brand. They have a specific thing in mind when they make a combination of hops that presents the IPA in the way that they want to do it, right?
Reoccurring or flagship beers, you want to be able to be consistent because people do have a memory of flavor and aroma. So when you open that bottle up and it tastes different, you're kind of like, well,
They're going
please,
like, what happened?
What happened to my
right?
favorite beer? Even
Yeah.
though this may be better.
Do you guys do that, like with your repeating recipes? Do you like
when you're really trying to dial something in? And I know that McDowell's done a bunch of this, and Doc has certainly done a bunch of it, and Warren as well. Like you really want to try and nail something repeatable over and over again to get better at your craft, right?
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, homebrewers sort of being what they are, you can also have the ability to change your beer. You don't have to worry about these true to brand things and a lot of things that are big considerations for craft brewers, right? So when thinking about all the hops that are available that you have, maybe when you purchase 2015 crop is just starting to arrive in the stores and a lot of people are able to get it now. Maybe you get 4 or 5 of your favorite hops and you find out that the Amarillo maybe is or isn't what it was in years past, or the Citra or the Cascade is or isn't what it was in the past. You have more ability, I think, than people realize to swap those in or out of certain roles in your recipe, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Especially on the hot side, you have a lot of leeway in terms of where the hops can fit into a flavor profile, and don't be forced to use a hop that doesn't seem like it's going to show really well. Like, for example, when Derek was here a couple of weeks ago, we talked about making more cowbell. We used the Southern Hemisphere hop, Rakau, in the hot side, but we were both sort of evaluating it on the spot and said, okay, maybe this wouldn't necessarily work as well in the dry hop, but it is going to work well on the hot side. That's an adjustment you can make on the fly as a home brewer.
Okay.
That's a little bit harder for commercial brewers, and I think that it's easy for us to stick to a recipe just because that's what's written, but that doesn't always play into the best flavor and aroma for your beer.
And that's what we're going to learn today is how to do that evaluating before you start brewing, because that is really the only way.
Yeah.
You can't just brew. Well, you can brew with it a bunch of times with that same, lot, I guess, or whatever. But you come back from the homebrew shop, or you get your hops in the mail, or wherever you get them from, cut them open, and you hopefully apply some of this stuff that you're going to talk to us about to determine where to put these hops. Do they match with what my recipe says?
Yeah, there's a lot of variables. I mean, in hops, you have just simple variety confusion. For example, you can buy Hallertau off the shelf, and sometimes if it's not very well labeled, you don't know if it's Hallertau Mittelfrüh from Germany. You don't know if it's Hallertau Blanc or Hallertau Taurus. Those can all be sort of mixed and matched sometimes. There can be U.S. grown Hallertau. It's not exactly clear to us. So getting that straight or trying to establish that can be a source of confusion or a variable. Or crop year, when was the crop picked and kilned and prepared for use? Format, whether it's whole or pellet hop. Packaging or repackaging. A lot of times when you get hops from your local homebrew supply shop or even through the mail, was that supplied from the distributor in a prepackaged 2-ounce, 4-ounce, 8-ounce package? Or did they get a giant 44-pound box and segment it up? Storage conditions. Was it stored cold or was it stored frozen before you got it? Alpha acid percentage. That's one of the main statistics, of course, that's always provided in your hops. But one thing that you can look at there, which will give you an indication of perhaps the quality of the hop, is that hop on the low alpha or the high alpha for the range of that hop. For example, if you have Cascade that's 2 or 3% alpha or lower, or if it's almost up near double digits, that can tell you a lot about, was that hop harvested sooner or later, or what were the crop conditions that were present when the hop was picked.
And also with even if the alpha percentage rating, that's what it was when it was fresh.
Exactly.
And if you're dealing with even hops 6 months old, you're going to get a drop off in that percentage, and it's going to be less. And so when you're factoring in your recipe for calculating your bittering addition, you have to take into account the age of the hops, because it can be it's very varietal dependent. Some hops drop off very quickly, others can store pretty well, but it can easily be a 25% loss in 6 months of what they have marked on the bag.
That's a function of temperature.
Yeah,
as well, right?
Oxidation and just for storage.
Yeah.
And keep them colder. The stuff that's more delicate will retain some of that alpha, but the stuff that's more resilient, keeping them cold is always going to retain a little bit better alpha than if they're stored at like 60, 70 degrees Fahrenheit, right?
But even stored perfectly, you're not going to prevent that degradation of those alpha acids.
Right, exactly.
So even frozen, there'll be a degradation in 6 months, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it might not necessarily be worst case scenario where you're going to lose 25% if that's what's typical for that variety. But
that's just it's a possibility.
Well, some loss is inevitable.
Some loss will happen, sure, but up to 25%, that's pretty drastic, and I don't want to panic anybody and start pushing for home, alpha acid testing kits or whatever.
Well, I mean,
but there are some estimates, right, Nate? Aren't there some
absolutely
rule of thumb in terms of
Cascade
at this
for
temperature
example.
over this time you're going to lose this much?
Right, Cascade for example, and this is storage stability at basically at room temperature is what the stats that they give you. That one's only going to retain about 48 to 52% of its alpha acid
at room temp.
At room temp
after 6 months.
6 months.
I see.
I just want to stress that that's what we're talking about. Most people nowadays are buying their hops, from a supplier and taking care of them and storing them properly, and you should be doing that too. But this is just in laboratory settings, so nobody panic.
And great brewing software, all of it, but Beersmith in particular is a really good way to look at that number and put an exact alpha on what you have today versus when you got it or what the crop year was. You can plug in the exact temperature you stored it at.
Oh, and they have a little
and it knows
math.
Right, exactly, and it knows based on the storageability of certain hops. Like I was just talking about Cascade losing up to 50% of its alpha after 6 months at room temperature. By contrast, you take a hop like Centennial, and that jumps up to about 60 to 75%, and some of them even higher. Like Citra, for example, will store up to 75 or more percent, and same thing with Mosaic. So it's very variety dependent, but good brewing software can help you dial.
Yeah, it's
dial
good to know,
in.
even without software, to get an idea of what's what.
Yeah, exactly.
And
now, when you say
it
is that
matters.
alpha drop off, or is that oil as well? I mean, does it affect flavor as much as it does the bitterness?
That's harder to say. I think that's not a lot of less commonly known info about it, but you got to figure that oil is going to drop.
I mean, the oil's going to oxidize.
Maybe the oils are more stable than the acids or something.
And they'll change. I mean, you might not lose oil, but there'll be different flavor contributions.
And probably changing the compounds that aren't necessarily as
they might not be
depending on your role in using them in the beer, right?
Yeah.
If and that's once we've established kind of these main variables, like okay, what are the considerations and how those variables are used in the brewing process, and alpha, how much alpha you have now versus when the hop was picked, and using that hop in the bittering role is a really important way to think about the bittering potential of your hop, and how I think if you take a metric like total oil content that's in the hop, it's probably less important for a hop that you're going to use mainly in the bittering slot for a beer. Like we have this sample, and we can send that one.
Yeah, let's start smelling some of these because
send that one around.
It's smelling too good right now.
Yeah, they're sending hops all over the place here. So Hallertau is kind of one of the ones that we can think about first. And we got all these samples from Nico. It's very kind of him to provide these.
Hey, yeah, thanks, Nico.
Yeah. So take a couple pellets. I'll hand these around. You guys can.
What are we doing with them?
You can break it apart and kind of volatilize some of the alpha and oil that's in there and get a.
What does volatilize mean?
Volatilize is sort of heat it up, release. Yeah, heat it up with the. Motion friction from your fingers.
Turn it into something.
Rub one out.
Rub one out with the hop. Rub one out for the pellet's sake.
Oh, I can do that. See, Tasty knows my language.
Rub one out.
Okay, so taking a little bit, and this is all stuff we should be doing at home with our hops, right?
Everything you put in your beer, you should smell and taste.
Okay.
Anything that McDowell's got it spot on. Anything that you're putting in your beer, you should smell and taste. And the hops are one that's going to vary so much that
because when you get fresh and the beer turns out stellar.
Yep.
You go like, let me smell those hops again, so I'll know fresh.
Exactly.
When I mean, it's up to your memory, right? Because there's no way you can capture that.
Yeah.
But the more you more you do it, the more you're going to remember it.
So I'm heating it in my hand, like between my fingers, like taking them and just rubbing them around.
Yeah, just rub it together until it's more than smashed. It's just
okay. And that heat will release some of these oils. And that's what we kind of
melt
okay.
You release some of the oils, and you'll get a sense of.
Just a
no, we're not doing a line.
He doesn't like IPAs.
You didn't need to roll up a dollar bill for this.
It's like snuff.
It's been a long time since I've had particles go in my nose.
That's why we're starting with Hallertau. I figured JP might be able to take this one, but
my sinuses aren't used to powder.
Yeah, so this one being really mellow in terms of the sensory aromas versus some of the ones that we're going to try later, of course. Yeah, herbal, pleasant, mild. It should be a little bit along those lines. And as it's aged, and this one's been around for a couple of years. It's
2014.
Yep, 2014. You get a little bit of a cedar or a leather or a tobacco-y note to it as well. Which is
so I don't want to be, too much of an idiot, but am I supposed to smell my fingers? Do I rub it in my hands and kind of get it all over and just cup my hands like I see you doing? Or?
Yeah, you can rub it between your fingers and just smell your fingers, or rub it in the palm of your hand.
Smell your fingers.
Then smell the palm of your hand. And then you'll get a sense of the aromatics. It's sort of mimicking what the hot side action would do when people go up to select for hops. Is one of the ways in which they'll select for hops at the table at a place like Hop Union or something. They'll take a handful of whole hops and really rub them between their hands and volatilize some of that aroma, or basically release some of that aroma.
So it's not just it's not just to break it up and smell what's in between the things, but you're kind of replicating. You're warming up the oils,
exactly,
and you're releasing things.
Glands open.
Right, crushing the glands.
Break the lupulin glands open and release whatever's in there.
So cedar, yeah, I give you that. Maybe even a little sandalwood.
So it would be a cedar tobacco.
Yeah,
a little Dwar.
I see people with these
door.
I see people with these cups of hops and they're rubbing them together. I mean, after a couple, two different trials, you got 3 or 4 different ones
at
one time, right?
Right.
I think the fatigue factor is pretty quick if you're going to do this for real.
Right.
And think about it though. Some of these guys have tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars online when they're buying these hops. It's tough to do that in the moment. I think it takes.
Yeah, you wash your hands in between. Like, how do you do that? Does it go away eventually? I mean,
if you're selecting for Deschutes or something and they're buying a ton of them, maybe you would.
Matt Brendleton has a line of people that just comes crush the hops and then he just smells all their hands.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Minions, I like the minions.
It's like his palm crew.
As he drives by on his Segway, just kind of no.
What about?
So this,
I've always thought about getting a thermos of malt, of boiled malt, right?
A thermos of boiled malt. Okay.
This is a cool idea.
Like straight 2-row?
And basically make a tea bag, if you will, a tea ball.
Mm-hmm.
Put some of the hops in there. Pour yourself a cup of, put it in there.
As you're doing a selection?
Dunk it, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe do 4 of them, let them sit there like a while. These 4 different lots of cascade. You go over there and you smell them.
Because most people have tried to do this with water, and it doesn't work out too well.
Water's terrible.
Water alone,
it does not work very well. I mean, some people report some decent success with it. I've always found it to be terrible.
Well, but I like Tasty's idea.
Better way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you can just get extract. You don't need to do it all grain.
No, right.
Because you want to replicate exactly what you're actually getting, right?
Yeah, it could be just LME.
Because you need the presence of that malt flavor. You need some of the sugars around. You need some of those things to give you the right context.
That's how they marry together.
Taste like.
Right? The pH is a huge factor in what gets isomerized and absorbed into the water too. And so if you just I know because I experimented one time doing a partial boil kit, and I was like, why even add the malt extract and darken it up in the beginning? I'll start my 60-minute boil by just putting the hops in there.
Yep.
Don't do that.
It didn't work out, huh?
It is the worst bitterness you can imagine. So harsh.
You need about half the malt in there.
Afterwards, I read that, just put in a little bit.
Of about 7 or 8 or more, probably, whereas the wort pH would be like 5, 6.
Right, the high pH, it leaches out a bunch of nasty things.
Got a bunch of tannins from it. Oh, that's
nasty. So, okay, so
Hallertau.
Yes.
So that one, you can tell right away that,
Don't do that again.
It has a nice, spicy, neutral, pleasant aroma to it. And that's one thing we'd expect from Hallertau. And this is Hallertau that's in good shape. Wouldn't have any reservations about using that in your beer, not detecting any cheesiness, nastiness, kind of rancid oils.
What would we be looking for? What does a rancid oil smell like? Like, let's pretend that these were terrible and the worst. They're Nico. They're not. Don't panic.
Yeah.
This is the Don't Panic show. But just in case, what would we be looking for?
I think just cheesy, vegetal, in a not pleasant way. Generally, sort of old smelling hops, like old smelling beer.
It's pretty obvious.
Like old beer, when something takes its place, you can tell it's not there. Too.
Like grandma's house.
It doesn't have any good aroma or absence of aroma and flavor.
Right. Like absence of that brightness that kind of a good palate will have.
And the greenery may be part of it too.
Okay.
But at the same time, you take a hop like Hallertau, which is a fantastic hop. I mean, you could buy a pound of that if you're doing enough home brewing regularly and brew almost any Belgian style, almost any German style, bitter almost any American style or any English style for that matter with Hallertau, and you're not going to go wrong. But when you do this type of evaluation,
that'd be a lot of hops to bitter a beer, like an American style beer.
It would.
And I've been in too.
Yeah.
It can if you use too much of it. But then again, a lot of people these days are making IPAs with a mellow bitterness. If you take a hop like Hallertau that's very low cohumulone, cohumulone being a compound that can lend you a harsher, nastier bitterness. There's sort of some debate about that, but in general, it is one metric you can look for. Hallertau is very alpha, beta equal, and is one other metric of a hop that has a very gentle, nice bitterness to it. If you're doing some of these new school, low hopped, in the bittering side IPAs, having some Hallertau around as a hop that could easily fit that bill is not a bad one. You get decent quality Hallertau, you can plug it in almost anywhere. But one thing that is kind of apparent from when you volatilize and smell this hop like we are today, never had much success using this hop as a dry hop type hop. It doesn't really perform that well in that context. That's probably one place. Even if you have Stellar or Hallertau, the results there are a bit more mixed, I think, especially for...
what do you get out of that when you dry hop it?
I always get it sort of a vegetal, not very bright, pleasant
it's more
flavor.
like a woody, earthy character.
Just get the Boston Lager.
No, maybe for some dark beers, there are some rolls where it could work well, but that's another thing to not forget when you're evaluating hops. Like, we're evaluating this mainly for its bitterness potential, but don't forget how that might translate, that experience of your sensory impression, how that would translate to other places in the in the process.
So when we're doing this, when we're rubbing them and we're breaking all these oil glands and we're doing all this kind of stuff, getting dirty, smelling like pot, how much of this can we translate? Some of these aromas that we're getting, do they translate in certain parts of the brewing process? Like, oh, this kind of cedar sandalwood will be more in the aroma versus the flavor in a beer. Do you see where I'm going with that?
I do, especially the late and dry, like Whirlpool dry hop is sort of how I would compare what you're getting through doing that rub test.
Okay,
less so like a flavor addition, like mid kettle, like 30-45 minutes, not as much, but a little bit. And then bittering addition it's different. That's mainly just for clean alphas, or you're looking for different kind of components there.
Okay. Okay. All right. I just want to make sure that I'm awake.
Let's move on. We have Goldings as well. Let's move on to those.
Let's move on. So we can't.
EKG.
If you have very strong aromas coming from a hop that you're considering using as a bittering hop, depending on the strength of your boil, you still will get some of those compounds carrying through. I
really
hear a lot of people be like, "Oh, your bittering hops don't matter. None of the aromas carry through." It's like most of the times I hear people say that, I can guess what bittering hop they used.
It's Magnum.
Well, it varies depending on what bittering hop they used.
Yeah, okay.
This is one thing that Jamil talked about years ago with the really super assertive hops, like CTZ and all the things kind of from the CTZ type family, where it's a bit more aggressive and dank and pungent.
Chinook's a little bit more.
Chinook, another one too.
It's a great base bittering hop, but it does carry through.
Right, and that might be what you want depending on the style.
Yeah, if you want
right?
that, sure. It's a great single hop. Beer.
Apollo.
Right,
Apollo comes through in the bittering.
Apollo.
A lot of the stuff
from
the
Warrior
Steiner program,
they're pretty neutral. So and this Hallertau, of course.
Exactly, yeah. And that's another really good one to bring up as well. Tasty hop like Magnum or Warrior, even though it is much higher alpha than a hop like Hallertau, basically has a similar type of characteristic.
And the main purpose of having a neutral bittering is so that your late hops can carry the load, that you get what you put in. You don't have any carryover from that other hop.
Right, exactly.
Oh wow, that smells good. What EKG?
So EKG, this is like one of the classic English.
My favorite English hop.
Very, very
so good.
Mild, delicate, interesting. You should have a bit of a floral spice, earthy, a little bit of lemon, a little bit of cooking spice, or maybe even lavender. A little bit flowery. It has elevated levels of geraniol, one very unique oil compound that you find in this type of hops. It has a bit of that. And as you might expect by the name, a little bit of that geranium type earthy flavor, floral. It's a really nice, pleasant English hop. This is one, unlike Hallertau, that you might find plugged into a lot of different places in the brewing process, including even a little bit of dry hopping. I think that's one that, because it has those really unique oils, that will lend itself.
This is what I use my flavor edition and my aroma edition for my oatmeal stout I brewed on the weekend.
I think
EKG.
I love it. Plugs into roastiness, chocolate type flavors, and any crystal malt flavors extremely well. This one I wanted to talk about just because it is so versatile and so interesting for those types of beers in particular. Any type of English beer, you can't really go wrong if you buy a nice 1 pound bag of Goldings. You can use that and only that. And if the quality is good and you like the quality of it, just stick with that. You'll find too that EKG, or that phrase East Kent Goldings, is there for a reason. Those hops are a bit different based on the area UK that they were grown. Or if you buy US Goldings, you'll find they're nothing like the stuff in many ways that you can get from the UK. And if you do like brewing English beers and beers that have EKG type flavor, you'll get maybe a few different samples of EKG and a compare contrast. And the stuff that seems to have the most amount of that floral and seems to have the brightest, freshest hop character, maybe consider using those in the Whirlpool late or dry hop slot, and then save the other stuff. By no means is that stuff bad or inferior, but it may not present as well, so you save that for the bittering side. There is advantage in buying hops that have a unique signature like EKG buy a few different samples of it, and if you know you're going to be brewing enough, then you can kind of pick on the fly on brew day which one you think would work in different slots, or you can design the recipe,
based on what you're doing.
Yeah, a few days beforehand, and you can only really learn that by evaluating what you have. Or maybe you have a few different crop years. Maybe you have EKG left over half pound from last year, and then you bought a new 8-ounce bag this year. You can still use both of them interchangeably. And don't think that the stuff that you had laying around is by all means bad, or that you have to toss it.
And that's my problem, and I've never really focused on how this batch of hops I get this year varies from last year. I've never, I've done this a little bit when I worked at Homebrew years and years ago, but not for any sort of reason. I think because I was bored one day. Sorry, Olin. But I found some hops, my fridge, and I threw them away because I'm going, well, I would rather just go back to Moorbeer or go back to Nico and buy more hops, because I don't trust how I'm gonna, close them up. Like I was brewing, I bought 2 ounces of hops at Moorbeer, brewing with my friend, and we used half an ounce because we brewed in the Pico, and he goes, well, there's 1.5 ounces left. What are you gonna do? I'm like, throw them out. Because what am I going to do? Roll them up and tape them up and then throw them in the fridge and maybe they're good?
I understand what you're doing. I do the same. I roll them up and all this. And
so, how do we take care of these?
Because then you go to use them, you go like, man, I think I'd really just go get some fresh ones.
Right. Yeah, because
I'm putting all my time and effort into this beer.
Yeah.
And I say it's a competition, but not a competition.
And not everyone has the time. There's certainly nothing wrong with going and buying a new batch.
But definitely get your thing about it. Just throw them away.
For sure. Because the
or
bags,
even before you do. If you're just going to toss them, just for the hell of it, open up that bag and do what we're doing right now. Just evaluate them for a second and see, were they total junk? Maybe you've decided you're going to throw them anyway for whatever reason. Like
you're brewing already.
Yeah, and then maybe you'll find out that, those were terrible. They need to be tossed. Or maybe they're not as bad as you would have thought, even if you're not going to use them.
Because, like Nico, for sure, Nico Brew does this. I know Moorbeer does this. They nitrogen flush their bags. They're light barrier bags.
Right.
They're moisture barrier bags. They're well taken care of. They're not open, rolled up, and thrown in a freezer.
Mm-hmm.
So
the source matters for sure.
The source definitely matters. And the crop year for one that you did really like. For example, one brewer that I'm a big fan of, he's got a funny voice, a little bit like this. He had a whole bunch of hops from Summit from 2008 or 2009, I think it was. I was like, dude, what are you doing with these?
They were just the right Summit for him.
It was just the right Summit, and I was amazed at how good that bag still smelled. And it was the Summit from before it got all our onion garlicky all dank. It still had this nice kind of tangerine. I was like, oh yeah, that's what this hop is supposed to be like.
Was that the year that he had that event where
I think
all
it
Summit?
is.
That was a great event.
Yeah,
they used to have those showcase kind of events for new hop varieties.
That's when he showed his ass, I think, for the last time.
Go ahead, Warren.
A couple of years ago, there was a brewery that did an all Summit IPA, and I was like, oh no. Like, did you know what Summit tasted like before you brewed this beer? But they had the aged Summit that was 3 or 4 years old at the time, and there's no way I would have guessed that was Summit. It tasted great, and I was like, wow, you guys are brave, but...
Is that, and I know maybe we're getting too far afield. Hot pun.
And let's get back into the field.
Well, but when the producers are releasing this, is that a function, like you say, it gets oniony, garlicky, kind of weird, where it used to be really, really good, different flavors, tangerine, like you said. Is that just because of the growth year? Is that how they're harvested? Is it how they're produced? Or you know what I mean? If they're not what they're looking for.
Some varietals, it's when they're harvested.
Yeah, some of it's genetics.
Some of it's definitely dependent on
some of it's genetics. Some of it's the year and it was grown. Some of it is when it was harvested. Some brewers have sworn by, well, if I could find that early Summit harvest it still has that quality that I want. But because that hop is almost a 20% alpha hop, most of the growers growing it know that it's going to be bought on the market purely for its alpha value, or a large part of it. So they tend to probably harvest it a little bit later to get as much alpha as they can.
And a lot of the brewers are getting contracting with farmers now.
Right.
So they're able to control when their hops are harvested.
This is something definitely the home brewers who get a little bit further on the geekier side of it. I kind of enjoy this stuff when you can catch a brewer's ear and bug them about when they select versus hops in the harvest, when they don't, if they have that kind of control, what the considerations are. We have almost no visibility into that on the homebrewing level about whether this is early or late harvest, or whether this was Peralt Farm, Simcoe, or this is somebody else. And all the growers kind of have their own approach in which they would want to harvest certain hops later or sooner.
I don't see any homebrew supply stores up there doing hops.
No, I don't think homebrew supply stores do that selection.
I don't think they're getting like what's left over of the leftovers.
Yeah. Right. They don't have enough weight.
Nico might, so
he might be up there.
That's true. He's already there.
He'd probably be down for that.
Maybe he can tell you. But
I think
we'll go together. I'll bring my tea with me, and you can. We'll,
yeah.
do some,
I want to try this McDonald's.
I'm thinking like we'll pull up there with like a food truck, right?
Yeah.
And the brewers can come out, run out with these lots, and we'll just make them like teas. You come back, and here you go, side by side. They can taste these teas.
That's a cool idea. That could be a side business for you, man.
Yeah. or we can do the 3-day fast ferment, and we can come back and actually taste fermented.
Exactly. While you're still in Yakima.
While you're still there. Yeah.
Let's move on to some more assertive hop varieties. Let's go to Cascade. Cascade being kind of one of the classic American citrus varieties. Anchor, Liberty, Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. Many growers, high variability in this hop. This hop is grown everywhere from Idaho to Washington to Oregon.
Yeah. Don't need to strike water without it.
Right, exactly. It's one of these classic American hops. But because there are so many different growers, and because I think it's treated differently farm to farm, you'll find a ton of variability in what's out there. That's one if you love to brew Cascade, and everyone brewing American ales has encountered it and probably likes it to one degree or another. Evaluate what you have and sort of decide where you might want to use Cascade. This is a real nice one.
That is
it's
so
got that
clean
grapefruit and classic kind of lime.
Yeah, we switched over from the
English, and it's very obvious that we've gone European, we've gone German, we've gone English, and now we're American. It's very very clean, not earthy, really. No. It's funny, even still with the EKG and I guess a little bit of the Hallertau on my hand, just smelling them cold, I guess they smell one way, and then you do the Mr. Miyagi thing, right, for Daniel-san.
Paint the fence.
And you can still smell it. The flavors come out more. It's, I don't know, interesting.
Yeah, you start getting even a bigger depth of character from this hop. This is so much. There's a bigger range of complexity you can get from this hop compared to the two that we just had. There's so much. There's so much going on.
Like 14. Yeah. Before the big rains.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Before the big rains, we're going to get this
Before
year.
the big rains.
Cascade being one of those ones, I think that it's worth spending a little bit extra time if you want to use it, especially in the dry hop or late hopping stage, to see what you would want to do with it. Especially if you have a few different bags of it around, spend that extra minute and decide if you want to put it in mid or early stage if your recipe calls for it, or later dry hop if it seems really bright, really fresh, and really good.
Yeah, I would recommend with the C hops like this, it's good to do what Nate said, and better to buy multiple bags from different places in order to kind of source the best one. And that'll vary even because the homebrew shop doesn't necessarily get a contract for Cascade to cover them the whole year. So their kind of variety or their sourcing can change between the time you order it and then the next time also. And
that absolutely happens.
I was doing... when I was doing some single hop beers, one time on my Centennial experiment, I brewed the Centennial the first time, and it was totally different than any Centennial beer I ever I've ever tasted from another brewery. And I was just like, what did I do wrong? And like all the other ones were
different in a bad way.
Just the hop character, it was just not Centennial. Like
Centennial's one, and we're going to do that one next. This is really timely. I'll send that one around right now. That one's really, really highly variable.
And
highly variable.
And so I did it again, and it tasted a lot closer. And I had bought hops from a different homebrew shop just to figure, see what these guys do instead. And it was a lot closer. So that's when I learned that hop sourcing can be definitely art.
That one, for Centennial in particular, that's a really, really good one to highlight. But before we move on to Centennial, one final note about Cascade, I think as the Citras and the Amarillos and the Simcoes become center stage in a lot of American beers, don't forget that Cascade is still out there, and there's so much really good quality Cascade to be found. If I would rather pick and use Cascade in a beer than a mediocre, maybe I'm not too sure about Amarillo just because the recipe said Amarillo. Like, those are two that aren't completely equal, but there's enough crossover. I think you can get away with stuff like that. So use that to your advantage on brew day. Maybe you've decided that, maybe that Amarillo or that Centennial you have isn't quite where you want it. Plug in some Cascade if you've got it. It might be in decent shape, better than you'd expect.
Mm-hmm.
So Centennial, sending that one around now. Straight on to your point with this one, Warren, I think I've found Centennial to vary so highly over the years that what you get kind of on the homebrew supply side, it can be really unpredictable. And certainly evaluate the Centennial that you've got. If you want to make one of these all Centennial type IPAs in particular, really be careful about the Centennial that you have. There's certainly plenty of great Centennial out there, but it can vary a ton. What do you think, McDowell? You've been a big fan of Centennial over the years. I know JBA uses it, right?
It's in the dry hop.
It's in the dry hop, right?
On the kettle, but it's in the dry hop. Yeah, it's a great hop. I always use it in conjunction with Centennial. They really go well together. When we brew the Janet's Brown on Russian River, we use these Loftus Ranch, I guess Centennial or something. They're like special.
Really super special premier
right?
Centennial. Yeah, that kind of
they really totally make that beer.
Yeah, underscores the.
This is the dry hop. They just changed the whole beer.
What do you like about this hop? What qualities in this Centennial are you looking for?
It's like Cascade, but it's a little bit more citrusy, not so earthy.
Okay,
it's great. I mean, that's kind of what you're looking for.
It's like a some sort of winter green or something like that. That's not really
kind of a minty character.
Yeah.
Slight mint, slight pine, maybe, but a little bit more citrus, like citrus zest, like lime zest. Is kind of what always makes.
And the Janet's Brown pairs well with the Northern Brewer, which the good ones can be minty or piney.
And because that is a contrasting hop in one way, that's kind of the way it works, right? Yeah, there's so much interest in doing hops that feature a lot of Centennial. I think that's one that I've had many experiences similar to what you were talking about, Warren, where I was just kind of sticking to a beer by the numbers, and then realizing that the Centennial that I had when I went back to check it wasn't quite what I expected. So that's one, if you like making Centennial beers or Centennial focused beers, you're brewing a JBA and you want to put Centennial in that dry hop, maybe source a couple different bags and decide which one you like better.
Well, frankly, I'm from sitting here and breaking these up and smelling them and paying attention. I'm thinking instead of throwing the hops away from when I make a batch, I'll save them. I'll do anal. I'll store them.
Did you say you'll do
anal?
I'll do anal.
That.
I'll be anal. I say it.
Okay.
Sorry.
Wow. Yeah.
I know you had your hopes.
It's all a part of the brewing process.
Yeah. I'm a screamer, though.
It is. So you'll be nice and save all this stuff and be good about it. I'm trying to blow right by it for McDonald's.
Anyway, save the hop. We can edit that out. Save the hops.
Don't save him.
And then try the fresh and try the old ones and see if you can tell the difference.
Right.
Or like Nate said,
you may go hey, these old ones are better than these new ones.
Right. Well, and they might work for different recipes.
Bad brew store.
Yeah, if you're feeling bold, like maybe you made 10 gallons and they're in two different carboys, and you're going for that dry hop, and you have one that you're like, okay, this one I didn't think it was going to be as awesome. This one I thought it was going to be amazing. Maybe split it up and then compare later. Challenge your assumptions about it. Right?
I was right, I was wrong.
Yeah.
When I was living in the middle of nowhere, Minnesota, I would buy half
Did
pound.
you do anal when you were there?
I love that town.
Yeah, me and the cow. I had my favorite cow out in the field.
It gets real lonely out there in the fields, you know.
You do anything. Break it up a little.
I would actually buy half pound or pound bags of hops, and then after I would use them the first time, I would use the vacuum seal bags, and I would actually purge CO2 through the bag before I would run it on the vacuum sealer to kind of minimize the oxygen. It wasn't totally 100% effective, but reducing it as much as possible, and then vacuum sealing it, and then just wrapping it in foil for the light protection, and then freezing them. And I had pretty good luck keeping them for months without any real noticeable effect. So there are ways you can kind of do this at home, at least minimizing the effects of aging.
You were your own mini Nico brew.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes when you know you're out in the middle of nowhere and you want to do a whole bunch of brewing, you may as well get a whole bunch of bulk hops and treat them.
Instead of doing anal, that's what I did. I just was anal about my hops.
That's why Tasty is much more fun than you are,
I guess.
You went anal. I get it.
Yeah.
We got time check?
Yeah,
Doing
no, let's
cool.
go.
Let's keep going. We got CTZ. CTZ is a really high alpha, versatile hop for American brewing. I think it's one that over the last 10 years, I've been opening my eyes into the way you could use it in a dry hopping capacity to sort of reinforce all the other big oil alpha stuff you might have going on with an IPA, double IPA. So one that you might want to give extra consideration for when using it in your home brewing process in the late whirlpool and dry hop kind of context. Similar to Cascade, it's a hop that's grown on many, many, many different farms, and you'll find it has a wide variability in the way that it presents itself. Some of it, anywhere from 14 to 16 or more % alpha acid, and up to about 2% oil content. It's kind of on the upper end of the oil content of a commonly grown hops that you can find. But once again, kind of like Cascade, I think you can buy 3 or 4 different 2, 3, 4 ounce bags of this, and then kind of compare, contrast, and decide where you'd want to use this in your brewing process. A little bit like we were talking about earlier, this is a really assertive character in a bittering hop. You get a little bit of carry through in the final beer if you use this hop in a bittering context. Yeah, onion and garlic and really dank and pungent. I think this is.
I get like fresh buds, like fresh pot.
Yep.
And grapefruit skin.
Yeah, great.
Maybe even some lemon. Like just
awesome
even smelling it in a little
man.
ramekin here, not even crushing it up.
Yeah. I think, Nate, this might be a question for you. Is there any? Can you use any judgment when you're reading the hop list at a homebrew shop if they refer to this as Columbus or CTZ? Because CTZ is short for Columbus, Tomahawk, or Zeus, and so. Right?
Yeah,
really good point.
Can you more reliably be like, okay, I'm getting Columbus when they call it Columbus at the homebrew shop, or if it's CTZ, then I don't really know.
Yeah, they might just say CTZ, but a lot of them will say either Columbus, Tomahawk, or Zeus. Columbus is, means one thing, Zeus or Tomahawk mean another. They kind of come from different growers and different processors in different ways. I don't want to simplify because it's kind of complicated, but that's the easiest way to simplify it. I think that's a really effective way to think about it.
Why aren't they just called Columbus, Tomahawk, or Zeus? Why are they CTZ?
It's the same genetic material, but it indicates kind of a different approach to hops. I think they all either trademarked a name or sought a different name for it all around the same time. So maybe Zeus growers in particular would treat the hop a little bit different and tend to leave it on the vine a little bit later.
I've heard brewers that only want Zeus.
Exactly. And maybe it has a little more of that dank,
why doesn't Roger
onion,
do Zeus
garlic.
or something?
That tends to come from, I believe that's the Steiner variant of this hop, and they tend to have created a lot of downstream oil and extract products over the years. So I think they kind of tend to lean towards leaving it on the vine a little bit longer, and maybe that develops a flavor profile that brewers have fondness for, that really aggressive pot like onion, garlic, dank kind of thing.
I get no onion, well, like maybe a little onion,
slightly, yeah,
or maybe a little garlic, but like like super, just grapefruit oil now. Yeah. Wow. So here's I know which this is. Of the CTZ, can you tell? Is that something that's possible for you to smell and go, oh, this is Tomahawk?
I think
fuck you guys. You told me this is Columbus,
but I don't know. Did the package say it? Just says CTZ, I think. Right?
Yeah, but Nico just told me.
Oh, he did.
Yeah,
I think it might be Columbus. He can tell us if we're right or not.
Anyone else want to guess?
I don't remember. It's been so long. I remember having Tomahawk, but when I had it was probably CTZ.
Yeah,
this is Zeus.
Yeah, this is Zeus. Oh, nice. This is the Steiner.
That's super orangey, grapefruity, like essential oil. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like no pith, no fruit. Just wow.
So genetically, they were all the same plant. They just went to different farms, and each farm called it a different.
It's like coffee or tea. Like coffee is a coffee plant. It's just the same plant, but it depends on where it's grown. That kind of thing.
Yeah, there's a really cool, interesting history about this hop. I've seen a couple of cool articles written about. It's such an interesting hop. That really is critical to the lineage of a lot of new school higher alpha hops. Right. It's really crop stable. It's really disease resistant. Probably not as much in some contexts than others, but it's tended to have a really strong history in providing genetic material for other hops. And it's one kind of like Cascade where you can find it more often than not compared to some other hops on the shelf at the homebrew shop. So maybe if you can't find, the Simcoe that you wanted or the Amarillo that you wanted or the Citra that you wanted, but you really want to brew an IPA and you have Cascade and CTZ and maybe some other one small amount of sub-signature hop around, you can really still brew a pretty kick-ass beer if the hops are fresh and in great shape.
It's very versatile. You can use the flavor and the bittering and a dry hop for sure.
Extremely versatile. And you can adapt it so many places in the brewing process. Almost every slot. That hot side, really early hot side bittering stage, flavor stage in the middle, and then late and dry hop, depending on the quality of what you have. But this one is really fresh and really pungent. It would do well in almost any context.
I would never have experienced this before.
Pretty kick-ass pale ale with that and maybe one other hop.
So here's a weird question. Some of these, the densities of the pellets are, some are more dense, some are, this is like really resiny and soft, and you kind of just push it and just squeezes together. Is that a sign of quality, or is that?
It is, actually. I'm glad you brought that up. We almost blew right by that. But one thing I learned about being at the Hops and Brew School in Yakima a few years back, a lot of people consider that the pellets that break apart a little bit easier are to be a little bit higher quality. Tend to have gone through the pellet die a little bit proper temperature instead of the really glassy, hard ones which went through the pellet die a little bit higher temperature, perhaps. And will break apart and be useful really easily in the brewing process without clumping together and having other issues.
Okay.
That can be a visual and tactile way to sort of get an impression of quality out of your hops. If they do break apart like that, it can be a really good thing. I have some old CTZ whole hops to send around now, too, for kind of comparison's sake. That one.
Awesome.
These actually whole flower hops that I had from 2013, they're a couple years old now. CTZ kind of comparison to what we just had. They're certainly degraded, but they're not as bad as I would have thought they were. I haven't smelled these things since probably 2013. They were way at the back of the back of the refrigerator. I mean, I would still, in a pinch, I don't think it would be my first choice, but in a pinch, I can still use these in the bittering side, and I don't think it would.
Oh yeah, you still do them.
So we're doing the same thing. So these are whole hops. These are the flowers.
Yep.
Right. Non-pelletized.
Non-pelletized.
And we just do the same thing.
Yeah, you can do the same thing, kind of break them apart. They make a little bit more of a mess since they're whole flowers.
Jay's going to come back and go, what is going on?
Yeah, he's never going to do this again, which was sort of our ulterior motive here.
Wow, they're much more aromatic than the pellet hop.
I'm surprised that the quality isn't quite as terrible as I would have expected. It's actually okay.
I don't get any oxidation character.
Is that because you're getting more plant material and that kind of contributes a little bit more to the... Because this is more like orange, like grapefruit pith, like that white part, that white shit, than just the more pure aromas. But
maybe back to your point. So at room temperature, CTZ is another hop that only retains about 50% of its alpha after about 6 months, right? So these should be pretty degraded in terms of alpha by now after 2 years. Then again, maybe the oils are still more intact.
The aroma may still persist.
Maybe the oils still persisted in a way that if there's any experts out there that know hops way more in depth than we do on this show,
can we get calls?
Please let us know what you think. But yeah, that's very interesting. Back to your point, McDole. I think that the oil survived in a better way than we might have expected.
You might use it as a late hop rather than bitter.
These were stored at freezing. So they were not exactly comparing room temp. Yeah. These were definitely stored at freezing. So that is a consideration. But they are still whole hop, the most fragile form of the hop that you can find.
Well, I could see them
a lot stickier.
Not having to go through the pelletizing process. They weren't exposed to even moderate levels of heat, and the lupulin glands aren't necessarily broken apart, which happens in the pelletizing process. Right? They're intact. They were kept frozen most of their life. So, granted, they are going to be less intense in terms of alpha acid, and even I think that, at least in my perception, they weren't as strong of aromatics. They were still nice, but to me they were not as intense as the pellets.
Right, less direct and less sharp.
Right,
but
yeah. I think maybe in this case the whole cones might have helped them a little bit in that regard. I don't know.
It's really good theory. It's quite possible. Right, it had some protection that way in some degree.
Just it was never handled and manufactured like pellets are.
Right.
So now my hands are all green.
Yeah.
I'm like I'm the hop Spider-Man. And stick to the walls. What do we got left, Nate?
We got left Citra and Mosaic. We got time for those. We can talk about those really quick. Those kind of different from the pack that those first two kind of old school, classic, traditional hops. Now some newer school American hops. Now these super new school kind of hype hops, Citra and Mosaic. Really big interest around both these hops over the last 5 to 6 years. Tons of signature beers being created around both these hops. Let's send Citra around first. This was the hop that has just a ton of oil content, one that's really popular in the late and dry hop side of brewing, of course. Heretic Evil Twin uses Citra in it. That's a beer that Jamil's talks about a lot on this show. I think that one of our most award-winning homebrewing IPAs at the NHC over the last few years, Kelsey McNair's Hop Foo. He's given that recipe many times, and Zymer G having the opportunity to do so, having won with it so often. Citra is and he's talked about that beer to me and talked about how Citra, being an early adopter of Citra, was a huge component in making that beer such an awesome beer.
Such a big standout because it's a weird hop, right?
Yeah, it's a weird, new, interesting hop and one that's really gained a huge following. But because it is so popular use on the late kettle and dry hop side, I think freshness and quality of the hop is one that you want to think about when using it in your beer. Also, it's such a new hop that's being grown on a much larger scale than it has been previously, and more growers are becoming involved. The vines are getting a little bit older. The hop is changing over time. It's not the same Citra that it was 4 or 5 years ago. As much as the growers want to...
Unfortunately.
Yeah, as much as the growers want to keep the interest in Citra alive, I don't think there's any chance in that waning anytime soon. Know that it is a changing hop. So as you get 2015 Citra in-house, compare it to your memories of what you had in the past. The tropical fruit note of Citra should be one thing that really sets it apart, and that's something that's pretty obvious to everyone who's brewed with it. But if you're new to Citra and you want to try and figure out what makes Citra so magical, looking for that tropical fruit type type character when you do a sensory evaluation of it can be pretty critical. Squishy fruit, tropical fruit, bunch of different cool terms to kind of think about it. But you guys getting that impression of the Citra a little bit?
Yeah, for sure.
Kind of a slight, maybe Southern Hemisphere, not as much as the one we're about to try, Mosaic, but a little bit of that New Zealand kind of hop quality to it, just slightly. But it is just firmly focused on the American, kind of citrus zest and that kind of school of aroma and flavor.
And that's while you're talking, you just sit there and work the pellets. Even after they're broken up, you just keep working them.
Yeah, just trying to.
Is that just a nervous energy, or
just trying to volatilize more of it off and see if it changes?
Precursor to anal.
Yeah. You got to warm it up,
Jesus.
It's like Matthew McConaughey in that commercial. He's doing that all the time.
He's doing that. He's rubbing his fingers.
Yeah.
One thing, no one would ever probably use this hop in this context, not anal, but it's
Other hops though.
It's a loco humulone hop. So if you had,
I love Northern Brewer.
You had a ton of Citra around, you wouldn't be afraid to plug it in a bittering context if you really wanted to use it that way. It wouldn't be a bad choice.
But I would expect the aroma and flavor to carry over.
Yes, that's a good point.
It would be,
Not in that kind of Apollo CTZ type of way, but
warrior thing, but
in more of a fruity, assertive kind of a way. Yeah, that's a good point. And compared to some of these other hops that we were looking at previously today, one that is really shelf stable. It keeps more than 75% or around 75% of its alpha at room temp at 6 months. So interesting consideration there. It's pretty shelf stable hop.
Wow. Bev, why do you want in on this, Bev? No, she's not listening. Never mind.
She's resting. Is she asleep?
She's busy updating her Pinterest.
It's true.
So our final hop to evaluate today.
Yeah.
We got a little bit of Mosaic here.
What do I do with my hands? My hands smell like Centenicasque Halterbrexiter.
Well, you just got to dip them in the kettle. We need some of those oils off.
You just wash them.
A little boiling water.
I don't know what that means.
It's only Monday.
We'll turn the whole sink green in the bathroom over. Your hands off
for sure. This is when you need paper towels, people.
What kind of place is this? No towels.
So Mosaic being the...
Oh, these are tiny little... These are tiny.
You need a napkin?
Really small pellets.
Yeah.
No, when I go to the bathroom, paper towel. I'm going to blow my nose on that thing.
So Mosaic being
machine.
Mosaic being one of the newest hops from the same school of hops that we got Simcoe from, and it's a really successful, really high interest hop. Just came out a couple of years ago, within 2-3 years. I always think of now one of the commercial beers that I love with this hop in it.
Wow.
The Pale Ale from Faction features this hop, and it's an awesome beer. As well as Ballast Point Grunion. If you're not local to this area, you might not have had Faction beer, but you may have had Grunion. That's another one on the shelf that has a really nice...
If you have $25.
Mosaic quality to it. But a lot of tropical fruit, citrus, and a berry and herbal and earthy and pine. I mean, part of the reason why I named in such a way is that it's so versatile in different contexts. And so when you're evaluating this hop, I think this is one that has changed a lot, too, since it was introduced. I'm finding, contrary to when it was first available to home brewers, that you find some crops of Mosaic that are a lot more dank than in the past, and you'll find that it's probably being treated and harvested by the different growers in different ways. So keep that in mind. The really dank or really aggressive type of Mosaic is going to perform a little bit differently than the one that's super fruit forward and super tropical forward.
So it could be the same... It's the same genetic material, as
same
you said,
exact genetic material.
but just
totally
a different grower may harvest it earlier or later, and that will have an impact on your flavor.
Its overall impact on the flavor, definitely, especially when used in the late and dry hopping context. And similar to Citra, really moderate and low cohumulone. This is definitely a hop that you could use on the bittering side.
I like that.
And if you buy a lot of it, if you want to buy 2 big pounds of it and use it throughout your home brewing season, if you're a big fan of Mosaic. You can start to plug it in those parts of the process too, and not have any problems.
So when I'm smelling it, I get some of that melon, I get some of that all the other weird stuff you talked about. I forget. But then at the end, there's kind of like a diesel quality that you can kind of get, in some beers even.
A little pepper.
Yeah. So if I don't want that in my beer, what do I do Like, where would I put this? So I do the smell test, and I go, yeah, they smell amazing. They smell super rad. They kind of smell like Centennial, but whatever, because I have it on my hands. And then, but I don't want that kind of harshness on the end. Where do I go with these?
Yeah, the diesel one in particular, that's cool you brought that up. That's one I used to get on Amarillo a lot many years ago, a little less so these days than in the past. I've kind of warmed up to it. I used to not really like it at all. But if you still want some of that character in your beer, but you don't want that diesel quality to be as forward, using it in the flavor slot would be one way to kind of compromise for that when doing sort of recipe development stuff, or kind of changing around a recipe that you have. Avoiding using it in the dry hop would be one way to get less of that kind of diesel quality out of it. Or maybe that you'll find that of the available Mosaic that is available around, and you buy 3-4 different bags of it, one of them seems to have a little bit more or less of that diesel character, and you could plug it in different parts of the process. Adding them earlier in the boil or in the middle of the boil is going to volatilize more of those kind of things.
Okay. I mean, because they are inherent in the hop. It's not a reflection on how it's treated,
right,
or anything like that. Okay.
Yeah, and that's one way in which this hop is in some ways comparison to hops like Nelson. And Nelson can have a ton of that.
Okay.
Right? And that's one way in which some people like that or some people don't like that. You're looking for maybe Mosaic that has more or less of it, depending on how you want to use it. And much like that hop Nelson, you could blend or compare, contrast that hop used later in the dry hop if you like that kind of diesel quality. That's an unmistakable character.
That's amazing.
Well, and even this issue is one that even commercial breweries have to deal with, because hop contracts don't always carry through, and they have to switch suppliers, which means they're going to get Mosaic or Centennial or Citra from a different grower that might treat their plants differently and then have more of these diesel characters or different flavors. And then they're faced with, do we just use it because this beer's always had Citra in it, or do we mix it up and change hops?
Or what do we do to adapt? Yeah, mixing up and changing hops on like a major flagship beer.
That's a hard call to make.
Really tough decision. Yeah.
Cool. But yeah, so it's not just homebrewers having to make these decisions.
Right.
It's everybody.
People who use it.
Right.
And that's
sure.
One important thing to take note of if you're a homebrewer who has friends who are professional brewers, or you go to beer festivals and you talk to other pro brewers and get a couple of beers in them and they want to share their opinions about what kind of hops they have available. It's going to be a lot of fun to get their impressions. It's never going to be a direct comparison to what you would experience. Maybe they're saying, I'm finding the Centennial this year is really this or that, and may not be what you experience, but you can glean a lot of information from those type of conversations, and even become even better friends with those guys. They might even give you a sample of what they've got, and you can compare.
I never go to a brewery without Ziploc bags.
Exactly. Yep.
The gallon size.
And brewers are buying hops by the 44-pound box. I mean, they'll be nice.
Once the box is open and you got your bag there, like
2-4 ounces for a home brewer. That
what's the move?
Not a little bags. Like, no.
You just stand there with your bag open. You go and you shake it out.
You used to go. You got your bags. I go, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That could be another way to get. Maybe you just want
another way to get some really fresh Centennial.
Yeah, another small amount of hop that you want to be able to blend or compare against the little bit that you already have. That can give you more options. Keep all the options open. Don't be afraid to adapt during the brew day, and you can get more out of your hops than you think you can.
Yeah, don't be afraid to say no. I think too. If something doesn't smell right, it's not going to taste right.
No, and you can plug in something else in that stage if you're already committed to that brew day, or maybe you're starting 2-3 days ahead and you're ahead of the game and you're just evaluating what you have. I've done that. I'm like, okay, well, shoot, I don't have the Simcoe I thought I needed to make this beer. I guess I'm making something else.
Yeah.
There's just no way to cover for something that had a signature you needed. So
cool.
You can plan accordingly.
That's good stuff, Nate. I appreciate it, man.
No problem.
Hey,
thanks very much,
hanging, man.
Yeah. This is the best it's ever smelled in here.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, this covered up your cologne smell.
Right. Yeah. I don't smell JP anymore. It's great.
And I mixed all the hops together.
Now we have.
It smells like Citra. What's
that one's still dominating.
Citra is a very dominant hop.
It dominated the whole thing.
It probably all smells like Citra or Mosaic now, or CTZ. There's those three at the most, baby.
All right, we're going to take a kind of a long break. I think it's a food time. We had a pretty decent sized segment. Then when we come back, we're going to talk to Sean Paxton, the homebrew chef, talking about your Thanksgiving dinner, all that kind of fun stuff you guys can do with some beers. It's The Session. Back after this.
You're listening to the Brewcasters. The Brewcasters on the Brewing Network.
Have you ever dreamed of attending the World Brewing Academy? This year, thanks to Lallemand and Danstar, one lucky brewer will make that dream a reality for free. Lallemand and Danstar invite you to enter the Beer School 2016 contest. One lucky grand prize winner will receive fully paid tuition to the 2016 World Brewing Academy web-based concise course in brewing technology, worth almost $4,000. From now until December 11, 2015, every Danstar yeast packet you use is your ticket to enter. Visit danstaryeast.com for the details and to print your official entry form. There's no limit on the number of times you can enter, so get brewing with Danstar and get your entries into the Danstar 2016 Beer School Contest. Whether you want to build your homebrewing skills or build a career as a professional brewer, this course will change the way you think of beer and brewing. Enter at danstaryeast.com and get the dry yeast advantage with Lallemand and Danstar Premium Brewing Yeast and enter to win.
That's it. I've had it. I am never putting hops in my beer again.
What? Why?
It's just too ridiculous. Insane prices, stupid contracts, high shipping costs, crappy selection.
Dude, you need Nico Brew.
Nico Brew will rock your f***ing face right the f*** off your f***ing skull. $5 shipping to all 50 states, plus fantastic international rates get you low prices on Nico Brew's great selection of hops and more. Whether you're a home brewer, a pro brewer, or a homebrew shop owner, Nico Brew can get you the hops you need in increments big and small, single orders, spot buys, or full contracts. And there's only one place to join the uber special secret elite bare bones club where you'll get the best deals anywhere.
Holy f***ing shit.
NicoBrew.com. NIKOBREW. Nico Brew, your bare bones buddy in the brewing business.
Three-time Ninkasi Award winner and Grandmaster Judge Gordon Strong invites you on a guided journey of what's new in the world of homebrewing. Modern homebrew recipes, exploring styles, and contemporary techniques available now from Brewers Publications. Gordon brings you specific advice and sensory profiles for as-brewed, award-winning beers with delicious variations to get your creative juices flowing. This is more than just a book of recipes. It sets brewers on the path to discovering what's new in the world of homebrewing. AHA Director Gary Glass says, if you want to enter competitions or just learn more about styles that you might not have experience with, this book is going to help you tremendously. By emulating what Gordon does, you're going to make better beer. Modern homebrew recipes, exploring styles, and contemporary techniques by Gordon Strong. Available right now from brewerspublications.com and find brewing retailers near you. There are two types of people in the world, naughty and nice. GrogTag is letting you tell it like it is with their naughty or nice labels for the holidays. Grandma getting you down? Slap a naughty label on that 4-year-old pale ale and put it under the tree. Did your Uncle Sal add you to his will? Well, he deserves your freshest batch of IPA with a custom nice label. Pick up one set of each and take 25% off your order by either entering code NAUGHTY or NICE at checkout. We all know how much beer you have to get rid of, so why not make it look good? Go find them at grogtag.com and don't forget to sign up for their newsletter to learn about their upcoming Black Friday sale and the Gifting with GrogTag 12-day sale during Christmas. GrogTag. At least your beer will look good. Do you know the 3 most important rules in brewing? Sanitation, sanitation, and sanitation. And no one does it better than 5-Star Chemicals. 5-Star knows sanitation. You can only sanitize clean equipment. And 5-Star knows how to clean, too. For craft brewers and home brewers, 5-Star has what you need to keep your fermenters, serving tanks, kegs, and draft lines sparkling and free of any beer-spoiling bacteria. PBW, caustic, acid cleaners, Star San, Santa clean, lubricants and defoamers, pH stabilizers, and more. 5-Star Chemicals has cleaning supplies, safety supplies, heat exchangers, pumps, hoses, and valves. And 5-Star is proud to offer eco-friendly products that exceed customer expectations. If you have a cleaning problem, you need the 5-Star solution. Visit 5starchemicals.com or call 800-782-7019. 800-782-7019 and get the 5-Star treatment today.
All right, everyone. I know some of you in the chat didn't necessarily like all the yacht rock going on here, but guess what? I don't really care.
It's a thing now.
We have fancy taste here on the Brewing Network.
That's true. We do. We're fancy, tasty guys, or something like that. We're about to get Sean Paxton on the phone, but I do want to remind you guys that Christmas is coming up, or Hanukkah, or whatever holidays.
I celebrate Kwanzaa.
The holiday season.
The holiday season is. Thank you. That's very PC from
like that
from the punk rock guy.
Merry Christmas, Nate.
Well, I've got to sit in this chair and try and deliver some neutral information
that nobody cares about.
Good enough.
Exactly. Let's talk a lot and say very little.
Hey, you're paying attention. I like that.
Well, speaking of paying attention, why pay attention when you can pay Adam and Eve?
Oh, our favorite sponsor.
For your lovely holiday evenings. It's getting colder here in the Bay Area, which usually means from 75 at night to 73.
There's that shrinkage issue, too, so you need a little
shrinkage, right. Yes, for sure. You need to get a little close, and, in the Bay Area, you can't do a lot of wood burning. So do your own version of wood burning under the sheets with a little Adam and Eve. Go to adamandeve.com.
No splinters.
Start a friction fire.
You go use code BNARMY. It's B-A-N... What is it? How do you spell BNARMY? B-N-A-R-M-Y.
B-N-R-M-Y.
Thank you very much, Nathan.
A-R-M-Y.
And you get all sorts of stuff. You get 10 free gifts. You get a special gift for her, whoever she's going to be that night.
Her boyfriend,
special gift for him, which is her boyfriend or her husband, probably.
Yeah.
And then something for you.
Oh.
And I like that.
Everyone gets one.
Or something like that. I don't know.
That's what you get.
10 free DVDs, free shipping, all sorts of stuff. So don't be alone or a load this holiday season. Go to adamandeve.com. Use code BNARMY at checkout.
B-N-A-R-M-Y at checkout.
Well, I know where I'm going to do all my cars.
Nice job on it.
Oh, Doc, you were mentioning some feedback today.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, right before you got here. We were talking about you.
Very convenient. Speaking of convenience, though, Bev was informed at the break that she's not fun.
Nope.
So mean.
Was it an authoritative?
I'm a pile of fun.
A hot steaming pile.
Variable bucket of fun.
I'm not even going to mention that. And then you throw a door stopper at my head. A rubber.
It was fun.
Yeah.
That wasn't fun.
I had fun.
That's how to make fun.
That probably was the most fun she's been in a while.
And I feel like other people in the room had fun watching it.
Whatever.
It actually,
I feel like
I watched it zing past my
you
head.
actually hit him. That was the most fun.
I didn't. I actually wasn't trying. I meant to just scare you.
In the hat. If I wasn't wearing this amazingly handsome hat, that probably smells amazing.
It grazed you. Don't be such a baby.
It bounced off my head. That's not a graze.
I'm sorry.
That's a direct hit.
It was rubber.
But I'm fun. Thank you, Tasty.
It's heavy.
Oh. Well, never mind then.
I don't think
Bye,
done
Felicia.
some damage to a...
Whatever.
Yeah, we were having fun at your wedding, and we were playing catch, Bevo and I, and she threw the football right in my nutsack.
You know you can't see it
It
coming.
wasn't so much fun. I did not have fun with her.
Well, I stand corrected, Bev. You're pretty fun. You're accurate. You're not fun, but you're accurate.
She's a baller. That's what we call her, a baller.
I almost fell in the pool because I couldn't stand up.
It was an accident. It was a genuine accident.
Every time you keep saying that, though.
Right in the balls.
Right.
Okay, I'm done.
She accidentally hits everything.
Yeah.
So,
that's why, you were a bad aim to hit him in the head there.
He looked like he was going to throw up.
You try for the 49ers.
Who's going to be playing shuffleboard with you on this cruise?
Anybody who wants to have fun.
Anybody who wants to lose their nut.
Right.
Yeah.
Or wear a helmet and a cup.
Right.
All right, we got Sean Paxton on the line. Sean, are you with us?
Come on, Sean.
Sean, are you with us?
Nope.
No.
Why isn't Sean with us?
Paxton, we're ready to have fun.
Did I do something wrong?
You have to press the button.
Oh, there he is.
He's not there.
Oh,
he hung up.
He can sing an A
because
pretty
I
good.
pushed the wrong button. See, I don't use the phone system very often.
Did you hang up on him?
No, I didn't hang up on him. I guess he got bored.
Oh.
Or something.
No, he just,
I don't know.
It might be his turn to buy.
Justin's going to be back next week, right?
Justin's going to... No, there's no show next week. You're not fun either.
Well, I never claimed to be fun.
Well, neither did Bev. I didn't hang up.
She is disappointed that she is not fun.
I didn't hang up on him.
It's not me.
Somebody did it.
Put him on hold.
Oh, my microphone's still on.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I told on you. Sorry.
I know.
What?
Paxton.
Hi.
I didn't hang up on you. You were hung up on. The system decided that it didn't want to hear you.
It hung up on me. Like I have 3 bars.
You've been at 3 bars?
This is going to be a great interview.
He's at 3 bars.
I like when they say 3 bars, and yes. But I actually am. I have been actually to 3 bars. Actually, three brew pubs. I'm actually in Bend, Oregon.
Oh, wow.
And I'm actually right now at Deschutes, downtown Bond Street location, upstairs in their little conference room.
See, there you go. Look at you getting around.
See?
Wow.
Well, you know.
Sean Paxton conference room.
They gave you the conference room.
Yeah,
I'm like, hey, is there any way I'm going to be on the Brewing Network in a little bit? They're like, yeah, go ahead, use the conference room.
Nice.
So I'm just about ready to order a Dissident on tap. So, I figured I would wait till afterwards. So I had a couple bachelor bitters to kind of start it all off.
Well, you're very fun, Paxton, I feel like. Bev is not fun. We just had this whole discussion.
Paxton, would you say I'm fun or not fun?
Oh, you're fun.
Mm-hmm.
How many times has Paxton ever hung out with you? Maybe 5 times in total? He doesn't
in
know.
how many years? More than that.
More than that. At least 7.
Like,
Okay.
oh my God.
Paxton's fun. Paxton,
I try to be.
Speaking of fun, man, so I wanted to get you on here. We want to talk about Thanksgiving dinner. That's a big thing for you, for
I
sure,
know
right?
nothing about that. Nothing.
But before I get into it, I wanted to kind of let everybody know about your site. You've been spending hundreds and hundreds of fun man-hours redoing your site. What's going on over there?
A lot of exciting things for all you listeners who aren't aware and haven't been to Homebrew Chef in a while, but click homebrewchef.com, and we've done a whole new retrofit, facelift, update, whole bunch of new features all rolling out, and new recipes, updated old recipes, so your classics, your favorites are still there, and we're adding a whole bunch of new great stuff. There's actually a whole bunch of new stuff on there already, and there's a whole bunch of more stuff waiting once I kind of have a little bit more free time, because just to do the update and redo pictures and redo the template and redo all the different tools and tweaks that we're trying to roll out just for the first round has been really kind of exciting. We're doing some really cool stuff if you haven't taken a look yet, but whole new just look, and we have scalability now with all the recipes, so you can basically scale on the fly. If you're doing it for 2 people or 20 people, the recipe will actually do that for you.
That's the worst part about doing recipes and shit like that. If it doesn't say serve 6, or if it says serve 6 and I need to serve 2, I don't want a whole bunch of leftovers.
Well, and that's kind of the thing. So we'll do that, and then also for all you international listeners, we're actually doing it too, so that you can actually, with the click of a button, it'll go from U.S. to metric.
That's pretty cool, but I feel like everyone should bow down to the U.S. way of doing things.
Learn how to measure something properly.
I mean, is easy really the best way to go?
I mean, 4s and 8s and 16s. Who doesn't want to work in those kind of base units? What's wrong with that?
16th of a teaspoon? Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. No, it's actually, I've been using metric for a long time cooking, and then I convert it back. And so the fact that this does it all on the fly for everybody, and then in the recipes, I'm actually putting everything in both Fahrenheit and Celsius, so it makes it just super easy, and you never know the difference.
Wow. I like it.
Good thinking.
I like the site, man. I like it a lot.
Thank you. It's and please, I would love any feedback. We're trying to incorporate a lot of changes. I've already gotten some great feedback and made those changes right away. We've been doing a whole bunch of just rethinking, since there is no pop-up ads, there is no banners that are flashing and blinking. You're on my site to be on my site, and I want to give you the best content as well as some of the best recipes that I've ever come up with. I'm never going to put a bad recipe up there, and everything I've made multiple times. Still working on some of the photography for a few of the dishes, but other than that, we're trying to get everything just top-notch and really show you all about beer cuisine and really celebrate flavors that can happen because of beer. And it's just been a real fun project. It's been tons of work. I mean, this is really 6 months worth of work. So, and you're just seeing the first phase. This is like phase 1, and there'll be 4 phases. So, to give you guys an idea and a sneak peek. And so, we actually have JP right. There's a link for everybody.
Excuse me, I'm dying right now.
I can tell.
Yes, there's a link for everybody. I just put it in the chat room. But let's see, I just got out of it because I was exploring all your sauces. I'm like poking it on your website. It is homebrewchef.com. What is it? Uncategorized / the Brewing Network Thanksgiving Feast. And that's all hyphenated and stuff. We'll tweet it out. We'll put it on the Facebook and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we'll put it out because for all you BN listeners, go there, and there's something called the Chef's Table. And I would love for you to click on that and actually sign up. You have to give me your email address, but this is a good thing.
Yeah.
We're going to just send you just like a newsletter and some promotional stuff so you kind of get like what's going on as far as new features being added, new recipes being added, new blog posts, that kind of thing. But then we're also going to be doing and really diving into cooking with beer, techniques, videos, all kinds of new, really neat stuff that nobody else is doing on the food and beer side. And I would love for you guys to sign up and get exclusive access to some of this stuff. So
that sounds cool, man.
Because, the Brewing Network, it's part of my, lineage, heritage, if you will. So
yeah.
And I love you guys.
We go back.
Doc, JP, Justin, Bevo, so.
But not Nate. Fuck Nate.
No.
Nate's an asshole.
That's right. Nate is there since I'm not in the actual, studio. So, hi, Nate.
What's up? I wish I was at the shoots with you guys. That sounds fun.
That sounds like a good time, man. Sounds
Congrats
fun.
on the new website. Looks awesome.
Yeah,
well, thank you.
Yeah, man. And so what you've done here, and so why I wanted to bring on is because it's Thanksgiving, and everyone starts buying more beer.
Thanksgiving.
Right, beer is Thanksgiving for sure. Beer sales go up. Everyone starts trying new things. Like Nana decides to go and buy some Celebration or something like that, which she probably would never buy because she doesn't drink beer. But we want to push the kind of the boundaries and really get you people to introduce good beer to your family and your friends at this holiday season. So what better way to do that than kind of introduce it into food? So you put together the Brewing Network Thanksgiving Feast. It's an entire menu. For Thanksgiving to stretch not only your culinary muscles, but your
brewing muscles.
Your colon
muscles.
muscles.
Yeah, your colon muscles.
Your colon muscles.
So, I mean, this is an amazing site, man. You got Thai-inspired pumpkin coconut holiday soup.
Just as a starter.
What is that?
It's so good.
It looks amazing.
Because if you think about pumpkin and Thai, they go so well together. And like Thai pumpkin soup, you have it all the time. Mm-hmm. But then to add some beer in there, it gives it balance. It gives bitterness. It gives some depth. And it also, the alcohol, just like a tomato vodka sauce, and we talked about this on the Homebrew Chef a lot, but alcohol in cooking is how flavor is basically carried over and actually enhanced by the alcohol. And so without the alcohol, it doesn't come through as much, but it kind of beefs up all the different flavors. And that soup with a little bit of candied pumpkin seeds on top, and you could put a little creme fraiche or sour cream in there if you want, but with the coconut milk and everything, so good. And actually, somebody left me a message the other day where they're basically going to add Celebration Ale, and I could totally see the hops in with all those Thai flavors, especially with that fresh hop IPA that we all love so much. That in this soup with pumpkin, I think it'd be a great addition.
I think so,
but then
too.
we have, my beer brine turkey, which is, synonymous. I think everybody knows my beer brine turkey recipe. Well, I took that same base recipe, and then I tweaked it as far as techniques on how to cook it. So you can now smoke that turkey. You can grill it, both gas and barbecue. Wow. You can actually oven roast it, sous vide it if you want, deep fry it. There's all the techniques and recipes on how to do all that.
Yeah,
and deep fry it safely. There's even a little video. There's a little animated GIF on there. I was hoping to get the how to carve a turkey video up, but my audio just wasn't quite the way I wanted it. So I'm redoing the audio. Hopefully get that tomorrow. I mean, I'm sure you guys understand audio. So.
I just push a button, man.
You push a button and it's done.
I just start cutting on that turkey until there's nothing left on it.
But even have Sierra Nevada tumbler brown ale recipe, and if you can't get tumbler because the fall pack is already gone, you can actually use another brown ale. But that is a wonderful recipe as well. There's actually one with Firestone DBA.
Yeah.
Really, really tasty. Lots of different ideas here, and you'll see how I've modified the recipes. And so you actually start to learn a little bit how the recipes are adapted to actually enhance the beer being used. So even though the recipe calls for a gallon of beer to go into the 2 gallons of overall liquid, it really shines through and you get some really great flavors. And even at the bottom of the recipe, it actually talks a little bit about different beer styles that I recommend using. I had somebody, I think it was on Google Plus, say that they used an APA and it didn't come out. I mean, it was good, but it wasn't worth the extra gallon of beer that they put in. But I never suggested an APA. So there you go. I mean, I really have thought through. I've done probably 600 turkeys by now. And when you really think about how to cook with beer and food and those flavors and what that does to a beer brine and what that does ultimately to your turkey, where you'll never have a dry turkey again if you follow my directions.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
It looks like it, man.
A lot of fun.
You even had me contemplating making a salad on Thanksgiving, looking at this salad on here.
Whoa,
I know.
that's not...
Usually I steer clear of this rabbit food thing that people seem to be eating, but the persimmon
But even like my yams with the old ale.
Oh, yeah,
See,
that one too.
That sounds great. Usually I do I steal your... what is it? Your roasted garlic IPA mashed potatoes.
Mashed potatoes.
And now that's the thing I bring to family Thanksgiving. But I might try this yam. Mashed yams.
And then I also have the candied yams in Allagash Double with vanilla beans and cinnamon and a little star anise and cloves.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it is the best yams I've ever had.
Wow.
The mashed yams with old ale is really friggin' good, but those candied yams, those were the best yams I've ever had in my life.
Wow.
And I want to share it with you guys.
Well,
I want you guys to have these recipes.
And knowing you probably had a lot of yams.
Yeah. I have,
like that's
over the
not
years.
That's like nothing to shake a stick at. That's actually like a pretty decent recommendation from a guy who his whole life is food and beer.
Pretty much. And like really the last 20 years I've been cooking with beer and learning all the different things to do, not to do, things to do better. And then you try beers differently, the way I think about food and beers. And that's really what this whole site's dedicated to. That's the old Homebrew Chef that we used to do on the Brewing Network. And, you know, all the times I've been on with you guys and really trying to just share all those stories and knowledge and recipes and dinners. You know, I've had a lot of people contact me lately about the Cascade hop infused malted flan that we did for the AHA in San Diego.
Oh, that blew my mind.
So all those recipes from that dinner I'm actually working on right now. So all those are going to go online. All the past dinners I've done with the AHA will all be online. We have all the different other dinners I've done. So I'm working on all those recipes. And they'll both be the large versions. So you can actually take a look at, wow, that's what it takes to feed 2,000 people.
Yeah. So the flan will make 2,000 servings. We'll have to
scale
it, right?
Yeah. And this is where, you know, for you guys to kind of see, and then you can even play around with the scaling feature and you can actually compare it to the version that's actually made for, you know, normal person consumption, you know, with the average size pots versus the 80-gallon pots that I have to use sometimes. And sometimes I have to use 2 or 3 of them at once. So this is where it's fun because I get to share with you guys what I've been doing pretty much the last 20 years, you know, the last 8 years exclusively, but the last 20 years of all those recipes, all the things I've learned from those recipes and techniques and just the knowledge, you know, pairings and flavors. And, you know, it's been a really fun project. And especially with Thanksgiving being such a near and dear, you know, holiday to my heart, you know, especially when you get together and
literally
good food, but good food and good beer, I mean, together and having just good times with that, you know, just with the family and hopefully make that less awkward.
Yeah, when they're shoving food in their faces. One of the things that stood out to me was the pumpkin DBA Spätzle.
Yes, the Spätzle.
And then it's something tossed in a Cylon cinnamon, like Battlestar Galactica bullshit?
Cylon, yes. Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
So the idea is, German Spätzle is one of those really easy but sometimes overlooked side dishes that it's basically eggs, flour, and salt. And I add some pumpkin to it, and then DBA with that little oaky undertone and that malty English bitter kind of English pale ale style. And what's great about this dish is you brown the butter first. That way you're not bringing out any diacetyl issues with the butter on there, and a little bit of cinnamon in there kind of gives it that little extra earthiness. And there's just a pinch of cinnamon actually in the Spätzle recipe, and I take you step by step on how to do it.
You do. I'm looking at it right now, man.
Oh, and let me tell you that with a wild mushroom gravy, the Doppelbock wild mushroom gravy,
stop,
or the cranberry wit sauce that is really, really tasty. And I was hoping to get a few other ones on there, but just didn't have time to get everything done. It's been hundreds of hours of tweaking and learning code and, all this other fun stuff to really make that website what it is, and the clean design, and really just to showcase what's possible with beer cuisine.
I saw that there was a cream soda recipe on there. Is that something that there's still time to make before Thursday?
There is. It's super quick and easy. I just don't have the link actually popped in there yet. I'm hoping to get that up tomorrow. But super good cream soda recipe for the non-alcoholics. But
I don't even know what that means.
I understand. So, but you can't put vodka in it. It's good. Or rum.
Still good.
Just saying. It's a good mixer.
Cool.
Yeah. No, it's been fun. And it's, Thanksgiving is just such a great time to share and bring people together. And since there's no religious undertones to anything, and just a real fun holiday. And this is where I think, too, even like if you want to bring something over to a friend's house, I have a Hophead IPA peanut brittle.
Wow.
That's quite tasty. You get a little hops in there, so it's almost like you're sitting at the bar having your hoppy IPA with some peanuts. That was kind of the inspiration for that dish or that recipe. But that's not actually on the menu, but that's if you go through the site, you'll see that recipe and a whole bunch of other ones. There's chocolate stout or imperial chocolate stout truffles that are really good. There's also a vanilla bean triple infused pasta creme, kind of like a custard. Really, really good.
One suggestion, never have the calories posted on your site for this stuff. I'm getting fat listening to it. It sounds amazing.
Well, and this is what's fun is that, to actually be able to do nutritional information from a calculation standpoint, not necessarily from a lab standpoint, just from cost and everything else, but to actually have that tool so that when you're doing a dinner party and you're trying to think about people's health and your own health, and those questions have come up over the years to me, and I was able to find an extra widget that I could add into the template that basically puts everything into a database. And so, like I said, this is phase 1, guys. So wait till you see phase 3. It's going to blow your mind.
Well, head on over to homebrewchef.com or follow the link that we're going to give you on social medias, and sign up for Paxton's Chef's Table, man. It sounds pretty cool. You'll definitely see my email.
It's going to be really cool. I'm really excited about it, and I can't wait to hear you guys' feedback. There's going to be a discussion board. You guys can start asking questions and hints for recipes and other things that you would like to see for the future. So happy to do all that for you guys.
Cool. Yeah, man, we'd love it for sure. Paxton, thanks, man. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy drinking day.
Well, I'm up here in Bend. I had, all these other fun things to do, but, said I'll put my pint down for a few minutes and talk to you guys. And
well, you should teach Bev. Next time, take Bev. You can teach her how to be fun. She didn't even hear. It's even better when Bev doesn't even listen.
I'm trying to deal with stuff.
She's busy having fun.
Yeah. All right, Paxton. Thanks, man.
Hey, happy Thanksgiving to you guys.
You
and
too.
Hope to see you guys soon.
All right,
Happy
friend.
Thanksgiving, Paxton.
Yeah.
Bye, Paxton.
Thanks, guys.
Bye,
Paxton.
Cheers, huh?
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
It's pretty cool, man. He's done a lot of good work on that site. I like
Great Sean Paxton.
Yeah,
it's pretty
great.
cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat, man.
Weaves all the beers directly into the food. I think that's pretty.
I want to make the peanut
cool.
butter now, or the peanut brittle now. Sounds like
He always picks these awesome beers that I think I would be trying to make the food, and the beer would just get consumed.
Right.
While I was trying to cook.
That's what happens, man. Well, and my thing, I go like, okay, what I like about his
you
new,
actually purchased IPA to make the mashed potatoes?
I do. Well, I make Taryn do it.
Oh, okay. You can't be seen.
My hands are
with IPA
clean. No,
in a
my
cash
hands
register.
are clean, man.
Right,
And
gotcha.
she pours it in also. He doesn't touch it.
Right. No, I don't do shit.
Not
with
a
it.
drop touches his hand.
Right.
No.
I always go like, well, I want to make this like the Doppelbock mushroom gravy. I've seen it on his old site before, and but I always put it off because I'm always intimidated by how much. I'm going to try to say I don't know how much work is actually involved in making this, right? But now with the new layout of the site, that's kind of cool, man. You can see everything and what goes in it. Gives you appropriate times for everything. Now I can plan out my cooking ahead of time.
I'm really excited about that Cascade infused flan because that was one of my high points from the San Diego NHC.
Yeah,
was that dessert from that dinner? Like that was the main dish that I remember from that.
Yeah, for sure.
That was a
tasty.
great dessert.
Yeah, that was delicious, man.
You got the recipe.
He even has a link here. I don't think I don't know if it's working yet, or I think he's going to throw it in. Anatomy of a bird: how to make a turkducken.
Oh, damn!
I've always wondered
the whole thing.
You have a friend who's the chef to do it for you. That's what I've done.
Right.
That's the best way.
You go somewhere that has one.
Yeah,
and you eat it.
Could you show
Sounds
me
good.
again?
Go to John Madden's house.
That's great. He's got it on his website. It tells you how to do it.
Yeah, it's pretty good, man. I like it. All right, we're going to do this. We're taking another little break here real fast. We had some ish, but we're trying to fix it. Anyway, it's the Brewing Network. When we come back, we're going to do a little feedback. We're going to do beer news. We're going to do the Twitter game. And then I think that's going to be it.
Yeah.
Then we're going to leave.
Aw.
Thanks for hanging out.
Feedback again?
We can do feedback again, sure. All right.
We'll do that one.
The Brewing Network.
A few things happened 30 years ago.
ARPANET migrated to TCP/IP, and the Internet was born. Revenge of the Jedi was renamed Return of the Jedi and opened in theaters. Mila Kunis and Emily Blunt were born, beginning a rad fantasy in my mind.
But all of that pales next to the fact that HopTech opened its doors and began blowing homebrewers right out of their mash tuns. HopTech doesn't fuck around. Real people shipping awesome shit straight to you. Their new website is fast and easy to navigate. Or just call 800-379-4677 and let badass bitch Jade and the gadget guy Roberto blow their warm load of customer service all over you. So visit the site or visit the store in Dublin, California, and support those that support you. Get your brewing on at hoptech.com.
Say hello to my little friend.
You've heard about White Labs Pure Pitch yeast. Pure Pitch is yeast grown right in its final packaging. That means yeast that has never been exposed to the environment. And White Labs Pure Pitch yeast for homebrewers is now available to everyone at homebrew retailers nationwide. Easy to use, perfectly sized, and ready to pitch. White Labs yeast packaged using their FlexCell process ensures the purest yeast on the market. Visit whitelabs.com to learn more about Pure Pitch, FlexCell technology, and how it's created. Then visit a homebrew retailer near you for your own perfectly sized package of Pure Pitch yeast. And you can say hello to your own little friend. www.whitelabs.com. When I order a beer, I want my server to know more about it than I do. I want someone who enjoys good beer and loves helping others enjoy it too. I want someone who knows how to pour a perfect pint for every beer style. I want a Cicerone.
The Cicerone Certification Program is creating the type of people who help you enjoy great beer. Home brewers and craft beer lovers know beer is more flavorful and complex than ever, and it takes some serious knowledge to store and serve beer right. Cicerones know beer. There are 3 levels in the Cicerone program: Certified Beer Server, Certified Cicerone, and Master Cicerone. Cicerones are truly the sommeliers of beer. The best beer locations have a certified Cicerone on staff. Relaxed and unpretentious, Cicerones Grounds are tested on storing and serving beer, beer styles, flavor and tasting, the brewing process and ingredients, and pairing food with beer. Learn more about your next beer guide at Cicerone.org. Certified Cicerone, because it takes top talent to present a perfect pint.
Do you know the 3 most important rules in brewing? Sanitation, sanitation, and sanitation. And no one does it better than 5-Star Chemicals. 5-Star knows sanitation. You can only sanitize clean equipment. And 5-Star knows how to clean, too. For craft brewers and home brewers, 5-Star has what you need to keep your fermenters, serving tanks, kegs, and draft lines sparkling and free of any beer-spoiling bacteria. PBW, caustic, acid cleaners, Star San, SaniClean, lubricants and defoamers, pH stabilizers, and more. 5-Star Chemicals has cleaning supplies, safety supplies, heat exchangers, pumps, hoses, and valves. And 5-Star is proud to offer eco-friendly products that exceed customer expectations. If you have a cleaning problem, you need the 5-Star solution. Visit 5starchemicals.com or call 800-782-7019. 800-782-7019 and get the 5-Star treatment today. Beer tasting games that train your palate, a brewery locator, and the brand new interactive beer style guide. These are just a few of the awesome things you'll find on craftbeer.com. The style guide is a beautiful example of technology in beer. Browse beer style families or turn on the automatic beer style finder and explore beer through color, bitterness, ABV, aroma, and flavor. It's really the coolest way to explore every beer style besides having them all in front of you. Go to craftbeer.com and click on Beer Styles to start the guide. Plus, enjoy the rest of craftbeer.com, the Brewers Banter blogs, beer education, how to host a beer tasting, and the invaluable Draft Quality Manual. Tons of great content that makes your beer better. Visit the new craftbeer.com right now and explore the website that brings you all the passion, camaraderie, and creativity of the craft beer community. Craftbeer.com, celebrating the best of American beer.
Are you looking for a simple brewing system that's great for all grain brewing, but everything on the market seems to be full of compromises? Blickman Engineering has the answer. The Blickman Brew Easy All Grain Brewing System. The Brew Easy is a complete system with easy upgrades and a beautiful compact design, perfect for any size brewing location. At its core, the Brew Easy is built on 2 gorgeous Blickman Boilermaker brew kettles, a high-temperature March pump, and either a top-tier gas burner or the new Boil Coil electric heater. The Brew Easy adapter lid allows the pots to stack on top of each other, forming an efficient, strong, and compact brewing setup that comes in 5, 10, and 20-gallon batch sizes. Upgrade your Brew Easy system with full automated control by adding a Blickman Tower of Power temp controller and make moving around easy with the Blickman Kettle Cart. The Brew Easy is modular. If you already own a Boilermaker kettle, you can build your Brew Easy by purchasing just the modules you need. The new Brew Easy all-grain brewing system. See it today at BlickmanEngineering.com and brew with Blickman quality on your new Brew Easy.
Williams Brewing is your online resource for prompt delivery of quality home brewing supplies. Since 1979, Williams Brewing has offered the finest equipment and the freshest ingredients, backed by the best customer service in the business. Do you like to mash using efficient fly sparging, but would like an easy way to heat your strike and sparge water? Enter the new Brewer's Edge electric mash water heater, a plug-in, anywhere, precisely controlled heater for strike and sparge water. Ditch the fumes and second burner and make mashing easy. Go to williamsbrewing.com today and browse their vast selection. That's williamsbrewing.com. Orders placed by 4 p.m. Pacific Time weekdays ship the same day. Brewing is easy the Williams way.
Hey, my brewing brothers and sisters. This is Jamel Zainasheff, and I want to tell you about Heretic Evil Twin. You might be familiar with my homebrew recipe, which uses massive late hopping to create a balance between the malty sweet and the hoppy bitter, along with an outrageous malt and hop character. I wanted a beer with the same bold hop and malt character, so we played around with the homebrew recipe until we were able to make a great commercial version too. We've created a beer rich in malt character, full of caramel, toast, biscuit, and an ever so subtle roast note. On top of that, we piled in an insane amount of Citra and Columbus hops at the end of the boil, as well as in dry hopping. This damn-the-cost approach to hopping gives Heretic's Evil Twin a great blast of citrus and tropical fruit that can't be matched by any other hop. The result is a bold, malty, hoppy, but easy-drinking beer. This is our top seller, our flagship beer, and I couldn't be prouder of it. Cheers.
To find Heretic beers near you, click on Find Some at hereticbrewing.com.
Segmented, demented, fermented.
It's the session.
That was perfect timing, Nate. Thanks, everyone, for sticking with us. We're almost out of here. We're hitting some beer news, and we're hitting some Twitter game, and then we're cruising out of here. But first, I want to tell you about Beersmith. You can go get your 21-day free trial at beersmith.com. If you're looking for brewing software, and everybody does, Beersmith is the one, man. Not only do the home brewers use it, professional brewers use it, and if you want to be either one of them, you should use it too.
It can calculate all those alpha acid degradation things we were talking about earlier. You just click buttons and type in.
That's pretty cool, man.
You have to try and bust out a bunch of equations. It's awesome. Save your time.
And who doesn't like being saved for times? Wait,
buttons.
Something like that.
Time is money.
I like pushing buttons.
I like pushing buttons too, Doc. But not figuratively.
buttons?
Not like the Toto buttons.
Yeah, you push buttons figuratively.
Yes.
Yeah.
It'd be great if you had Toto queued up.
And twist
it would
the
be.
knife.
I'm going to download the entirety of the Toto collection. So next time I do the show, which will probably be sometime in 2018.
So Africa,
yeah, basically, and Roxanne, Or Roseanne. Rosanna. Yeah. See, you love it, Doc.
Yeah, he knows.
Meet Doc all the way.
He wants to forget, but he can't.
I can sing most of the words too because it's just ingrained in me.
It's ingrained in me.
He's very labored with this memory.
Yeah.
Why? I still don't understand why.
You're too young.
Just because it was
solves it.
Just because it was everywhere.
When you're raging in the '80s and you had to listen to that, wasn't what you wanted to hear.
Yeah.
Does it ever come on in the office and you just shove the drill into the person's gum?
I cringe and slip.
Yeah. You're like, oh god, I hate everything. This
Put
is the
down
worst
the
thing
tools
ever.
and walk away calmly.
It makes me angry.
Yeah, well, and not many things make Doc angry, I suppose.
No, that's right. That's why I was kind of shocked.
I'm shocked too. Trust me.
What are you doing?
Just a big sigh.
You just wanted more yacht rock.
We're just enjoying this right now.
Can't get
Doc.
enough.
Don't worry about it.
I like the drum.
Our listeners tonight just love the yacht rock.
Oh, yeah.
They need more of it.
We're trying to class this place up.
Yeah.
I mean, the bar is packed right now. It's working.
Yeah.
It is working.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all like swaying out there.
Moving it from the double wide community to the harbor.
All right.
Oh, man.
I was hoping you were going to rip things off the walls, but you're just kind of sitting there stewing, and I don't like that. That
Just
freaks
making
me
Doc
out.
quiet. That's no good.
Those meds are helping.
That's probably true. Let's do some beer news, huh?
Got some?
Anything happen?
A little bit.
Nothing's been going on. So
No,
Nothing's
I
been
haven't heard
happening.
anything happening.
No,
But it's
no
also
expensive
some-
deals or nothing.
Yeah, no pumpkin beers.
No.
Came out.
Well, there's also
anything.
some fun beer news. It's not all going to be dealing with politics and bullshit like that.
Something about IPAs in
Yeah.
there?
Well, for example, hopefully. Lewis Kent has done what many runners have only dreamed of, and he did it while drinking lots of beer. On Wednesday, the 22-year-old beer mile record holder signed a 2-year shoe and apparel deal with Brooks, a running shoe company out of Seattle, Washington. This makes Kent likely the first athlete in this sport of the beer mile to score a mainstream sponsorship deal. Brooks is a pretty big deal in the running industry.
Yeah, it's no Under Armour, but it's a big deal.
This guy ran the beer mile, and he's getting paid. So he said,
what's this thing here?
What was the record-setting performance?
What did he do?
What are the details?
I got it here.
All right.
Hold on, guys.
Give us the deeds.
It's pretty surreal, Kent said of the deal, which a Brooks marketing manager told Roval pays more than an amateur athlete and less than an Olympian. So they're very vague. I'm sure it's maybe some shoes. But still.
Olympian.
Yeah. He says, I've always liked to run and drink beer, but I never thought I'd be considered world-class for doing both.
At the same time.
Yeah. Kent, who runs track at the University of Western Ontario, currently holds the world record in the beer mile, set his latest time of 4 minutes, 51.9 seconds on Tuesday night, running alongside a friend on the track in London, Ontario. The effort was filmed for proof and approved shortly afterward by beermile.com, the sports governing body. They have a governing body.
So how many beers is it in the beer mile?
I think it's four. Because it's 4 laps around the track.
4 laps around, one per lap. Okay, got it.
Okay. Yeah, I let Parker do it.
So within 4 minutes.
Drink a beer when you start.
I know why I brought it up. I think so. Doc knows.
So do you? Is it 4? Because do you start? Do you drink one and then
drink
start?
a beer, then you start.
You drink a beer, then you start, or you start and then you drink a beer?
It would still be 4.
It's
whatever.
It's got to be McDonald's.
You can drink and
I don't
run.
think you end with a beer. You start with a beer.
No, right.
But you can drink and run.
Because you wouldn't.
You
wouldn't
can
end
be walking and drinking.
Right, that wouldn't count if you ended.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So
So if you can run and drink, that's an advantage. Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool, though. This guy's fucking sponsored.
And I don't think they care if
one beer
comes back out.
And shoes matter, evidently.
This could be This could get them in a weird situation. Because what if people start thinking, "Oh, this guy can run in these shoes while drunk"?
Yeah.
What if, like, don't worry, officer. I've got my Kents on. I can walk in the straight line, no problem.
RWIs
can walk that line.
Yeah.
So he's like 4.5 minutes or something, 4:16 or something.
That's pretty good.
4:51.
4:51. So he's like chugging a beer a minute, basically, and running.
Yeah.
All that carbonation in his gut. Nice.
Yeah.
So do you have to hold it down, or what if you?
I don't think it matters.
You blow, you're disqualified.
I don't think it's Dan Gordon rules. I think you can throw up.
You can throw up as long as you make that time.
You can blow the foam.
Yeah,
you just have to cross the finish line. That's it.
Yeah, you can cross the finish line with foam all over your face.
You can die as long as they get photo evidence.
Right. Great. I love it.
You can foam your friends.
Foam home.
Foam home.
Wow.
Yeah.
This one's about a cool little beer app. In the beer aisle, we tend to make decisions based on risky factors like label allure or suggestions from the anonymous critics who actually take the time to contribute to review sites, which means you've probably got a pretty good shot at spending your hard-earned cash on a crappy bottle. This is unacceptable in the information age. Of course, I didn't write this. I'm paraphrasing from news sources. What tastes good to one person is really subjective, says Trace Smith, who is the COO of Next Glass, an app that uses crazy amounts of data to tell consumers what beers and wines they might like. Palates are a bit like thumbprints, he says. They're unique from person to person, and they dictate whether you're more inclined towards a caramel-flavored malt beer over a bitter IPA. I love those malt beers. They're just amazing.
So is it kind of like Pandora for beer?
The latest craze.
We looked at Pandora's Music Genome Project and thought, why can't we do something like that for beer and wine? They're perfect. So the Next Glass team went on the ultimate beer run, sending a van to gather 15,000 beers from 48 stores in 35 cities.
They sent one van.
With just a van.
Wow.
Within a mile?
They ran each beer through a mass spectrometer that essentially sorts all the chemical compounds in a beer by size, which produced tens of thousands of data points to work with. By feeding them into Next Glass's app, Smith claims it can tell you whether you like a beer or not based on how its chemical compounds compare with the beers you normally drink.
We analyzed 10,000 oxidized beers.
Right. And gave you this oxidized beer result.
Yeah, we thought you would like this other oxidized beer.
This level of oxidation.
Yeah. Here, have a high nalod. Next Glass doesn't pretend to know how every single chemical compound found in beer affects taste. For example, the app will tell you that a beer contains diacetyl, the compound that gives some brews. But I hate it when people say beer, brews, call brews a beer. It's a beer. It's not brews. Brews is a verb.
They call it a suds, too.
Suds. Suds at least are like, to me, it's like old man, like your grandpa. Hey, give me a bottle of suds. But brews is just stupid. The compound that gives some beers a buttery flavor. But translating that into a qualitative measure of buttery flavor, quote unquote, is beyond its powers. Beer is an extremely complex matrix of hundreds of different compounds, several hundred of which have been identified and determined to play at least some sort of role in the flavor profile, explains Brett Taubman, a researcher at the Appalachian State's Fermentation Sciences Department. He says, we're still a long way from understanding exactly how all of the compounds come together to determine a beer's flavor profile. There's also the fact that beer's flavor changes as it ages, sometimes for the better and sometimes not. And the same beer from the same brewery can vary year by year due to tweaks and subtle recipe changes, blah, blah, blah. We all know that. I thought it was pretty cool.
So maybe they can develop a feature in the app, kind of like other social media beer apps, where it gives you like the Butter Popcorn Award if you've drank more than 5 beers with diacetyl threshold over the flavor.
Oh, that'd be rad.
I feel like they have a secondary market in once they've done the mass spectrophotometer on it, selling that information back to the breweries.
Right.
Because a brewer could be interested in some of that information.
Sure.
So
Could
make a 20 by 20 print of it and put it on the wall in the brewery.
To me,
This is our beer.
The value would be if you did sensory on the beers.
Well, I mean, the brewery
and
knows
then
what it
correlate
tastes
that
like.
to the
Oh,
data.
yeah.
Right?
The human
like
sensory.
this beer tastes oxidized. Well, maybe if you get 500 beers where people said it tastes oxidized, and you compare like the data points within those beers, you'll say, "Oh,
you have 100,
but it looks
100?
like when it displays this compound, that's probably saying it's oxidized." Then eventually,
or at least like crowdsourced
they could
feedback.
say like,
You have to cross-reference, otherwise
Yeah,
you could
for
do
sure.
like a triangle with 3 people, and then a bunch of different mass spectrometer data. The triangle of people would always give you more useful data, I think.
It would be interesting if there were kind of typical images that were created amongst beers that were popular for a style, like IPAs that were real popular always looked similar to this one example.
Yeah.
And like lagers always look like this.
Yeah.
So then people could
better attenuated or something.
Yeah.
You know, whatever that we like about it, it would show up.
What was the point of the story?
The point of the story is
These guys are doing
Beer Pandora.
is that they
it'd be like
need-
getting a blood test on
They
your
need
beer.
real human data, and they're going to follow you around and track that instead and pay you to drink.
Too many words for Doc.
I've had other people try to follow me around.
They can't keep up.
Not
Can
an easy thing.
they cannot keep up.
No,
I know.
they can't.
There's no way.
Your
No,
handle only
you roll
brings you
hard and
down.
heavy, yeah, for sure.
Here's a pretty cool one from South Korea. Female-heavy crowds are the norm at Seoul's craft beer bars and brew pubs, which our spam of the week came from, which is amazing.
What was that? Ping
Maybe
pong
not
and
so
fish
much.
cooking?
Yeah, I like to cook fish and play ping pong.
With a fish.
Are South Koreans
But
known
what was
for
your name?
having
Match made
heavy
in heaven.
females?
Ground zero for the burgeoning craft beer movement. As customers, I would say women are definitely drivers, says Tiffany Needham, co-owner of Seoul's Magpie Brewing Company. She should probably, differentiate. They're not drivers because they're drinking.
They're like designated drivers?
That wouldn't be
They're
safe.
drivers of the craft beer movement.
Driving the market.
Magpie Brewing Company, which opened in 2012. I remember 6 months into it, it was all Korean women in the bar, and it was like a switch has just been flipped, she recalled. The story is similar at Riley's Tap House, Korea's first craft beer bar, where women make up about 65% of all customers. This holds true at newer joints as well. A bartender at the hip pop-up craft beer bar Namasan Chemistry estimated that 70% of customers during their 3-month run were female.
Of course
That's
they're
a
going to.
lot,
I
dude.
want to go
No,
check
of
this
course
out.
they're gonna
Ladies'
say
night
that.
every night.
They say that they're going to get the guys in there.
Right.
Yeah, well, probably, yeah. Craft beer is to modern-day Korean women what Cosmos were in the 90s, a drink of sophistication to be shared with your equally sophisticated girlfriend. So Korean craft beer culture has become much about appearances as taste. At Riley's, if you have a beer and you put an orange or a watermelon on the side of it, something of that nature, then women tend to like that, says the owner of Riley's. Makes a good selfie. And I can't get that mental image out of my mind of just a bunch of Korean women with selfie sticks and their beers.
How do you come up with the name Riley's?
Yeah, well, considering their last name is Zitzelberger, I don't know. That's a good question. A sales
In
clerk,
Korea.
right? A sales clerk at the bottle shop in Seoul told me, and many fellow female customers will pick beers based on the label alone and are willing to spend more on quote aesthetically pleasing bottles.
Well, if you're going to take a selfie, it's got to look good.
It's got to look
Right.
good.
Come on.
Korean men haven't gotten as excited about pretty bottles or beautiful presentation as women have because more often than not, and this is really what drove me to report in the story, men are drinking to get drunk. Often to the point of passing out on the street.
Oh.
Harder liquors like soju or whiskey will do the trick quicker than beer alone, so there's less interest in trying out new flavors. Passing out on the street.
Passing out on the street.
I'm just here to get drunk and pissed on. I don't know.
I'm trying to save a spot out on the sidewalk I need to go pass out in.
Yeah,
isn't
parking
that-
sucks.
Isn't that why we moved out of Martinez?
That's true. That's true. Men kind of prefer their neighborhood place or the place they've been going to for a long time, said Needham, of male drinking habits. They just want to go to their Hofbrauhaus or their place, I don't know, and drink the beer that they know, and I think women are a little more open-minded. The trendiness of craft beer can only float higher prices for so long. You should go to Seoul, Doc. So,
women are open-minded.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So brewers have to take on the role of educators to sustain sales. If you do teach your customer about what's going on into the product, then they can start understanding the value of it, and then they can pay $5 or $7 for a beer instead of $3 for a cass, which I think is like their equivalent of Bud Light.
Yeah,
it's like super cheap, mass-produced.
Kite or a cass or something like that. Yeah.
The good news is that women are on board, even if it's taken a bit of time, and are quickly getting used to the more complex flavors. Si-Ho Lee, one of Korea's only female brewers, who currently works on the team at Magpie, remembers a time when women would order pale ales because it was the most popular style, but would hate it. Half of them, she said, it was too bitter. Some have asked us if they can get some honey so they can mix it in. So they're drinking this beer, they fucking hate it, and they want to add a honey to it so it doesn't taste like beer, but they're drinking it because it's trendy.
Well, sometimes when you're on...
It's trendy and they can get a selfie with it.
Right, when you're on this side of the bar, you want to continue to engineer the product.
What was her name?
Right.
What was her name again?
Seahole.
I just made you say that.
There's a new one?
I'm sorry, Seol Hee.
Seol Hee.
Look, sometimes you read what you want to read. Increased education about and access to different styles of beer means that Lee isn't getting requests for honey pails anymore, but it does seem that Korean women continue to prefer sweeter beers like fruity wheat beers or chocolatey porters.
What kind of,
Apparently they haven't heard about Imperial IPAs or anything over there to get the men drunk faster so they can lay down on the sidewalk.
Still not as quick as soju.
I guess, yeah.
You like a soju?
They just named the beer "Lay Down on the Sidewalk" beer.
And curbside pillow.
Curbside pillow. That's even way better.
Isn't that what IPA stands for?
Yes.
Fall down drunk.
This is pretty cool. This is for you, Nate and Warren.
Oh,
why not?
yeah.
This is a hop thing. Use of microscopic. See if you can figure out what the fuck I'm saying. Use of microscopic pressurized shock waves generated by controlling cavitation as a non-shear method for increased extraction of alpha acids and oils from hops.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense to you people?
What about it?
I'm trying to follow. What's next?
Well,
they're using an ultrasonic wave.
What about it?
Machine.
I don't understand it.
They're trying to
do things. Well, here, I'll tell you all.
They want to, they
Let
want
me
to get
help
some
you,
kind
Doc.
of qualitative data off of this method.
Well, here you go. Apparently, that was the name of a seminar that was given recently at the Master Brewers Association of the Americas by a cat called Santiago Gomez. Gomez has raised a few eyebrows discussing his company's latest innovation called ApoWave, which uses the futuristic-sounding shockwave power reactor technology to increase the amount of alpha acids.
You need reverb when you say that.
This increases the amount of alpha acids that get extracted from hops in the brewing process. The company claims that by controlling, quote, cavitation, I don't know why it's in quote, is in the hopping process, it can save brewers money.
Because of buzzword.
Cavitation is the creation of a low-pressure zone in a fluid that essentially vaporizes a small amount of the fluid, creating small vapor bubbles. And then this guy goes, think low-temperature flash boiling. Think back to high school science when you pulled on the plunger of a syringe and created boiling inside of it at room temperature. I'm like, I didn't do shit in science, dude.
I drew cavitation.
I drew goat heads and pentagram. What am I going to do? Oh, yeah, I remember pulling the plunger on the
periodic table. Oh, wait, no, never mind.
For sure.
That description just sounded like anal sex.
Pulling the plunger on some boiling.
Oh, yeah, and then vaporizing. And
he's just saying that they're adjusting the pressure in their kettle to.
It sounds like something.
Which affects
how they're
it sounds like he's like using ultrasonic waves to help break things up.
Well, that's what I thought, but then the last part you read made it sound like they're just adjusting the pressure when he's like, it's like when you boil something in a syringe.
Yeah, he says these low pressure.
Just adjusting the pressure.
Is he talking about wort going through pumps or something?
I don't know. It doesn't really. It doesn't really get clear.
None of that made sense.
That's proprietary.
That's what confused me.
Right. That's the confusion.
You got to sign the NDA. It's like.
Doesn't go together.
So this sounds like it's pitched maybe to the light lager brewers somehow about
probably
using very, very, very little amounts of
throw
hops.
a pellet in there per barrel now.
You only have to use instead of 4 ounces of Tetra hop per 100 barrels. You get to use 0.3 or something. I don't know.
It's eking out the last little bit of efficiency they can.
Yeah. He says these low pressure zones are unstable, and eventually the bubbles collapse, releasing a shock wave as the energy it took to create them has to go somewhere. This process of bubble formation and collapse is the heart of cavitation. For hops, we use these tremendous pressure fluctuations to push water/wort deep inside the hop particle, and then as they collapse, they're able to essentially suction out the oils, acids, and flavors. When the SPR technology is applied to the different processes within the brew house, combined with expertise in hop utilization, it allows brewing customers to produce bitter beers with 50 to 90% less bittering hops and 50 to 75% less aroma hops.
No. I was trying to get
more in the aroma.
Yeah,
but then there's probably other factors that are hard to control in the same way.
That's what I thought.
We
right?
get like a Bamforth style, like the foam and the head.
right. The vegetal matter
it's
has
not
to
the same.
pitch something.
What
right?
does that do to all the proteins and everything else? You might get better isomerization.
Yeah,
but there are other things.
If you're talking about bitterness in a vacuum or under pressure, as it might be in this case,
well,
different.
The place is called Hydrodynamics, and they manufacture the Shockwave Power Reactor. Roll.
I got to have one just for the name.
You do, and for the reverb.
I still wonder why you picked this.
So this is a Kickstarter?
I thought it was fun. It's not fun? You should be more fun.
Right, you're a doctor. You don't like science?
Yeah. I don't like bad science.
How is it bad? Is it flawed, you think?
Yeah.
I mean, he pitched it to the NBAA.
All that stuff didn't coincide, did not make sense.
Well, I'm also really dumb, and I cherry-picked it. I'll send you the article. I don't know.
He was right.
It chopped it up so it made no sense.
Right, it got in the way of my Star Wars Battlefront playing time. I need to go. Yeah. Anyway,
fine.
And then last, but iBooks. What the fuck, you Apple? Get out of here. No, I don't want iBooks.
Order. Upgrade now.
It's time.
What's your name?
Yeah.
Constellation Brands. This is the news everyone's waiting for to talk about. Said on Monday it will pay $1 billion for California Craft Brew, Ballast Point Brewing and Spirits, a record sum for a U.S. craft beer company. The deal signals that the craft beer industry, which has a roughly 10% market share in the U.S., has crossed a threshold and become a big business that large brewers expect to continue to grow in the years to come. It is the fourth and largest craft deal this fall.
I'm calling a peak right here. This is it.
It's got to be, right?
The bubble's about to pop?
Maybe one.
No, I'm not saying it's going to pop. I'm saying this is the peak.
This is a high water mark.
The most they would get?
Well, it's not the most they would get. It's the most you're going to see for a deal about that size.
Probably. Well, it's the fourth craft brew to be bought this year.
But no, it'll probably be more like a
decline.
Yeah. It'll just change. It won't be a dramatic event. It'll just be different.
Because it's getting old school now.
What about these $14 six packs?
Well, they've always had that 20 to 40%.
Who else has that?
They've been able to do it. It's amazing.
Right.
Is that part of the like a package? I mean, they were going to go public.
Makes you want. Right. They were.
Right.
Now that's off the table, obviously.
That would involve have projections, right? Like what you can get for your beer.
Yep.
Well,
is that sustainable, you think, $14?
And the filing doesn't happen by mistake, I don't think. This is all part of...
That sent the message.
It's all part of being able to sell at a really good price.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Remember when beer used to be able to go to the store and you buy generic beer? It'd be like...
Yeah. Beer
black writing on a white can.
Yeah.
It would say pale ale.
And with a blue stripe.
Beer.
Someday will come where it'll say... Same can, IPA. It'll be as good as Sculpin.
Yep.
Why not?
That's where the
Will
market
it be as expensive? You have to mortgage your house to buy it?
No,
dirt cheap. Remember when we
had
had Tony on and he was very proud of being able to be the
first IPA in Zimbabwe?
Oh, yeah.
Not only that, that's where he's headed next. But where he's headed now is the most popular 12-pack in this market. In the Bay Area.
Yeah, I bought two today, $12.49.
See, there you go. And that's the cheapest one you can find for that flavor impact.
And right next to it was Sierra, and they were price matching, or at least
they were trying to, right? As much as they could, right?
I don't really know how
the Oktoberfest.
That's the whole game now. Is all about that style.
That's what big guys can do, right?
With that flavor impact for a certain price point.
I don't really know how inflated this buyout price is, because comparing it to previous breweries. It's always been, we've kind of figured out, okay, you get this price per barrel in terms of your value and sale price.
Yeah.
But Ballast Point's also a distillery, and so...
Right.
It's harder to do.
Right. Comparing it apples to apples with a previous brewery selling, it's not really possible.
It's very
that
different.
Adds another X factor.
You bring up a good point.
Where people are like, this $1 billion price can't last.
Constellation Brands as a spirits portfolio, and this will fit kind of right into that as well.
Sure. Exactly.
Well, it's not necessarily inflated price, but one they know they have market projections they can hope they can hold.
Well, just comparing it to just another traditional brewery, and that's it. It doesn't really work.
It's not necessarily one-to-one.
No,
Lagunitas, for example.
But if only 10% of their revenue was non-beer based, you could say, well, that would be the only adjustment you'd have to make.
Yeah, so it continues. Constellation is acquiring Ballast Point as part of a move to deepen its interest in the U.S. beer industry's growth areas, which are Mexican imports. And craft beer, of course.
Well, it's always been the biggest.
The Mexican imports are dominating.
The biggest non-U.S. beer to sell in the U.S. has always been Corona, right? Over the last 15 years.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. They approached Ballast Point after the craft brewer filed regulatory paperwork for a public offering last month. Chief Executive Rob Sand said Constellation was impressed by the brewery's growth and the premium pricing of its beers. Premium pricing.
Your beer.
Yeah, they give you a...
Squared. Premium squared.
Premium.
Oh, for sure. They give you a spoon and gouge your eyes out with it.
Profit margin.
Uber premium.
Right.
In Atlanta, so dig this, dude. In Atlanta, Ballast Point's Sculpin IPA sells for $10.99 at grocery stores. It's fucking $16 here.
Right. It goes across the U.S. and
you
it's
can get it here for like
$5 cheaper.
$14.99 right here.
Yeah, which is about 2 to 3 more than most competitors in Hotlanta. But here it's 6 to 8 more. It's insane.
Yeah.
Ballast Point double. So this is what you were alluding to, Nate. These are the numbers here, which I thought was interesting. Ballast Point doubled its production and sales in the first half of this year, selling more than 118,000 barrels and generating $51.7 million in net revenue. It reported a first-half profit of $5.9 million on a revenue of $357 a barrel, which is well above the craft beer average of $270 a barrel.
Right.
So people are buying this price. Maybe $16 isn't.
People are buying
so
it,
outrageous.
and they know how to ride the wave when it's at its peak to get the really good profit margin per barrel, right? And use that as leverage to sell the brewery too. And they've also been probably reinvesting all that capital in building all the new brewery capacity that they brought online over the last few years. I like Ballast Point beer. I like Grunt. I mentioned Grunting earlier in the show. I think it's an awesome beer. They have many, many great beers, but I think they're playing this game and they're playing it well.
I wonder if they're using price in order to help regulate how much sales happen locally, like in their local market. Say California is their local market, so that way they have the available volume to sell nationally, because they can't. They raise the price here, so they don't sell as much as they would.
Maybe so.
Otherwise, so that way it gives them the option to push more beer nationally and develop that brand.
Right. So what do you guys think? So they already sell this beer in many other states in the U.S. What do you think that Constellation is going to do with this thing? They want to sell Grunion in every state? Or, probably more to the point, Sculpin.
Well, so I read in another article that mentioned, right now craft beer has about 11% of the beer market. And
nationwide in the U.S.
Yeah. And the Brewers Association is saying by 2020, we're going to have about 20%. So you take Ballast Point's giant growth that they're going to double in 2016, what they've done this year already in 2015.
Right.
They're at the top. So they've purchased the number one juggernaut in craft beer right now.
One of the biggest growing at that profit margin. Company.
People are paying out the inflation squared or whatever tasty math just happened. They're clearly clamoring for it. They can't brew enough of the stuff. So why not?
That means by the BA's definition, Ballast Point will always be craft then. In order for that to even be possible.
And they have
Lagunitas.
And they have spirits.
Firestone Walker.
And they have drink mixers. Like they have all the Bloody Mary mix and all these things.
Right.
And they're good. Actually, I've had some of those. They're pretty darn tasty, and I think those are selling well.
Oh, right.
But they're selling well into a market segment they want to grow.
The alcoholic root beer segment is growing like crazy, and so Constellation buys these guys.
Wait, hold on. Back up a minute. Beep, beep, beep. What?
You haven't heard of alcoholic root beer?
No. I live in
it's called not. All right, hold on.
I live in a fucking cave over here. Tell me.
It's called not your father's root beer.
Not your father's root beer.
Oh, because of Dad's root beer.
Not your dad's root beer.
So it's got at least 4 different brands that I know.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
It's fucking $12, a 6-pack.
Is it good?
Yeah,
I don't know. I've never had it because I'm not paying $12 for it.
Get you laid.
Yeah, it is.
Is it? You had it, Doc?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Really? What's the percent alcohol on that?
It's
like 3 or 4, right, or something? It's pretty low.
No.
Oh, wow.
That's about 4.5.
Okay. All right.
Oh, okay. It's like
it's like having
standard beer level.
Yeah. They're different. There's a few different ones.
Okay.
They're a bit different.
Well,
if you're into root beer, they're pretty good.
Bev.
Crazy.
She might get fun.
Yeah, better
Once
than
we get
rum
some root
chata.
beer.
How to have fun.
Already fun.
Okay, well, that was beer news. There you go.
that was
Hey,
it?
we did.
Oh,
That's it.
great.
Only 4 stories.
What's
It's
the
fine.
Twitter game?
We're getting to that right now. Twitter game. Doc is on it, man.
Yeah, what's next?
Is that like Pandora? When's the Twitter game?
Yeah.
Oh, I know it's next.
Twitter game was I wanted people to describe the smells of the bunker, the BN bunker, the big old RV, because Justin and the Frenchies are up in the Pacific Northwest. They're coming down
there's
now.
6 Frenchies now.
You know they got smelly cheese in there and French bread.
Yeah,
it's like
that, the beers, the
it's like
farts, the
charcuterie,
BO.
fromage, and saucisson.
They ran out of clean underwear.
Just French fries.
I don't think they even left with clean
Or
underwear.
even wore underwear.
No, they definitely didn't.
They're French. Did they bathe?
Here we
Purely
go.
optional.
Jeff Granick says it's hard to distinguish if that burning smell is coming from the BNRV's flaming brake pads or Justin's low friction handy lube.
Oh,
That is hard.
That is pretty tough.
Well, the high friction handy lube would smell more.
So remember, you guys, keep track of
20
these.
grit.
Let me know what you like and what we should kill. Like as we go through, let
Okay.
me know what you should kill.
All right, that one won't go on.
That won't go on? All right, let's
okay.
kill that. Because normally Jay does this, but it's hard to run both at the same time. Sean Kampshoff says the BN RV smells like shame and urine.
Not in that order.
It smelled like that before they left.
Right, yeah. That was there.
Nothing new.
Kill it.
Well, I don't know. I don't want to dump them all, but that one's like on the back burner.
Yeah, let's kill it.
There's a whole other meaning. Slide
Right.
out.
Someone called Beer Judge says it smells like hobo despair.
Ooh.
Okay.
Keep it?
Keep it.
No, I'll keep it for now. Andrew Hudick says ass with a little extra ass on top.
Who's on
probably
top?
honest, but
Yeah. A little bit more pretentious ass.
I lolled.
You louded?
I lolled.
All right, we'll keep it then. Mike B says it smells like Justin's fingertips. I don't understand.
Because he scratches his balls?
Maybe.
he could have said fingernail. It would have been better.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
that's
gonna dump it because I don't
gross.
get
Yeah,
it.
like underneath his
one.
fingernail.
Sean Tichy says it smells like they're boycotting deodorant.
Well, you know.
No? Wow, okay.
It's
a tough room.
not funny because it's true.
Right, yeah, it hits too close to home.
Yeah.
Is boycott a French word?
Austin says this game is racist and Justin smells like sheep. I didn't know French people were a race, but
Are they like sheep?
yeah.
Well, that's
why do
'cause you're
Justin
racist.
like sheep? Should we keep that one or leave it? Or
We laughed.
check it?
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
good.
you got to
Yeah.
keep that one.
That's in.
Our friend Melovino Meadery says, I'm sure it's going to smell a lot like JP is hosting more shows from now on.
Smell like that. I get it. That's a good insight.
That's a good insight. Keith Allen says, it smells like charcuterie, sweaty nuts, and beer sharts.
I like
Oh
that.
God, that's way too
That's all the same.
accurate.
Didn't we kind of say that?
That's all kind of the same.
Yeah.
That's true. And then last but not least, Ross Johnson tweeted in with, your music sucks tonight. Hashtag, your music sucks tonight.
So he wasn't playing a game. He's just making a statement.
He's making a statement. Because at the break, I was playing Yacht Rock.
Right. He's wrong,
Yeah,
but it's funny.
Still funny. It's not an intro to the game. He's not going to win.
He's like, normally I tune into this show to listen to the music, but tonight it's
I'll
kind of
vote
weird.
for him.
So we got Hobo Despair. We got this game is being racist. It's smelling like I'm hosting more shows. And charcuterie, sweaty nuts, and shardy farts.
Ass on ass.
I pulled that
you
one
deleted
out.
that one?
Yeah, because no one cared
Oh, well,
about it.
Bevo
You've
Low.
got to know.
Yeah, well, she was the only one. All right, who's for Hobo Despair?
No.
All right, who's for this game is racist and Justin smells of sheep?
I like that.
That one.
All right, well, that's the winner. Hey, Austin.
All right.
Again, my vote does not.
I give our listeners credit.
And
for
this
not-
matters.
Which one is
What
Doc
do they
gonna
get
vote
here?
for?
Remember, they get
Which one would Doc vote? Melovino Meadery? It's going to smell like I'm hosting?
The charcuterie.
Charcuterie? You would.
Because it's very redundant.
And our listeners are
That's probably
upstanding
true.
people and did not make any bombing jokes. That's great.
I was tweeting. I was like, "Oh,
Bombing
this
jokes.
could be,
Too soon.
yeah." I
No,
was like,
it's
"Who's
good.
going to do this?"
I have faith in our listeners. They're good people.
They are good people. Speaking of good people, not fun people, because we're not talking about Bev.
No.
I think we're done. I'm gonna check all my things.
Yay.
All right.
I got to promote other beer shows. I think we're doing some live Dr. Homebrew next week on Monday. There's gonna be no show
Monday, okay.
but we're
Oh.
doing some Dr. Homebrew. The guys were a little bit down in the dumps, so we're postponing that. You can check out other shows like Dr. Homebrew and let's be honest, Dr. Homebrew, but also the Jameel shows, the Sour Hour, all sorts of fun stuff over here on the Brewing Network.
What about
Anyway.
Dr. Homebrew?
Dr. Humber's great. Okay, well, thanks for hanging out, guys. Nate, you did a great job.
Thanks, guys.
Great, Nate.
Paxton, it was great talking to him, and it smells like pot in here. Bev is fun.
It's apparently. A CTZ, buddy.
That's what I hear.
Yeah.
She was a hoot tonight.
Right. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Cheers.
JP's an asshole. Justin's a nice guy and winning the race. JP